Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam. Joining me tonight, Leon, Neota, and Chemo's made a special appearance. What's happening, boys? Hope you guys are well. Chemo, we'll start with you. Your favourite TV channel, Box Nation, and their cardboard studio, as you like to say.
Well, not anymore.
Now they got that BT money. They've stepped up, but when they go back to the studio for the 2 a.m. fights, it is back to the cardboard studio. But let's start off with Walsh and Gervonta Davis. I was disappointed, man. I wanted a bit more. I thought the stoppage was a bit early. What was your thoughts?
I didn't think the stoppage was early. I think that fight wasn't just kind of... It can't just be summarized by punches landed. I thought the overall demeanor and body language of Walsh pretty much told the entire story. I don't think he wanted to be there, to be honest. And after the first, real power punches connected, I don't want to use the word fear, but he did not look pleased, Cam. He looked like he wanted to get the fuck out of there, or he didn't know what to do. He was flustered, and Gervonta kind of took it easy, but you saw how much he was cruising. Once he let his hands go, that shit was over. And the class was just completely different. I don't know where a lot of people were coming from regarding Walsh, that they were saying he had a chance, and one of those individuals is obviously Bunce, who I get to in a bit. But I didn't particularly think he had a fucking chance. And I think this kind of showed it. They're not on the same level, and they never will be. Walsh looked like a typical guy that's not really going to reach world level, and Gervonta looks like an elite guy that has a very, very exciting future ahead of him. That's about it. I think I want to obviously see Gervonta, even though he's so incredibly young. I want to see him in a lot better opposition than this, because this guy, again, was not on his level.
Leon, you were sat next to me. Great to see you again. Also, need to say Hamad, I've known him for a good couple of years. It was the first time I met him in the flesh, so it was a pleasure.
Yeah, same here.
Jamaica, and Heng as well from Twitter.
Yep.
Him and his brother were awesome, so props to them guys. But yeah, Leon, I kind of know your thoughts because I sat next to you, but for the people listening.
Hamada turned to me in about 2-3 minutes, 30 seconds, and said Walsh was just so nervous. I think he shit the bed a bit, I think it got to him because it was pretty hyped. I don't know how it came across on TV, but the Gervonta entrance, the crowd were really all over him. It was really hyped, and I think it got to him a bit because he was nervous. Jerky, wasn't he? Using a lot of energy but not doing anything. And Gervonta could stand in front of him and he could have thrown punches, but he was nervous of the speed, because the speed in the flesh was frightening, wasn't it? I thought as quick a fight have I seen in the flesh.
Yeah, I think for you were saying, sat next to me, the biggest thing you took away was just Gervonta's hand speed. Yeah,
because it wasn't his size, because I didn't think he looked that big. I thought Walsh looked like the bigger guy in the flesh, but it was the hand speed and the upper body movement, head movement, because Walsh didn't land anything on him, did he, really? He didn't throw anything. He really got the nerves. But yeah, look, he's legit, really legit. In the person, he was very good to watch. And I don't think he really got out of first or second gear, because I don't think, he... Yeah. It's difficult. I haven't watched it back, but he didn't feel like he was landing super, super classic punches on him, was it? He got to hit on the side of the head a few times, but the power's obviously good as well.
Yep. Nicky, your thoughts on the quick 3 rounds?
Personally, I never really gave Walsh much of a shot. I figured, Davis, the way that his team and everything kind of felt about it was that they thought Walsh was kind of an easy mark and everything. That's kind of the way that I felt as well. And although I kind of agree that the ref probably should have let it go on. I'm a bit of a ghoul like that. I'm not really willing to stop a fight unless you're out of it completely. Unless you're on the cameras looking up at the lights. So I mean, I would have let it go on, but I think it was only a matter of time before Davis like really put the nail in the coffin. He was hurting him with everything as soon as it got into that second round for the most part. And it just seemed like Walsh really couldn't compete with Davis on any level. It's like Davis had pretty much every advantage you could think of when it came to speed, timing, power, etc. Not necessarily height and reach or anything, but I think he negated that fairly handily. And it was really just a matter of time before he put the nail in the coffin. And that's what he did. Didn't waste time, and I'm actually kind of glad about that too, because I do think that there's too many fighters that get like heavily hyped up, and then they wind up going way too many rounds against somebody that's not even close to their level.
Yeah, I was just disappointed with the second and the early part of the third. I thought both guys were kind of waiting for the other guy to throw so they could counter, and there was a lot of kind of gesturing and nothing really happened. And obviously when Gervonta turned it on a bit in the third, he just saw the levels in skill and class, and when you put the punches together and you dropped him the first time, I do think it maybe could have just went on a bit. I think maybe the ref could have just given him a shot. If he goes down again, then stop it. His legs were...
Have you watched it back yet, Cam?
Yeah, I have, yeah. And like
and you still feel that way?
Yeah, like Bunce and Woodhull had a kind of argument at ringside, and it was quite hilarious because it was kind of like when if you guys start arguing and I'm like saying, yo, like, stop talking over each other, because that's what Paul Dempsey actually went and said, because they were kind of arguing over and talking over each other. But yeah, I kind of thought it was a bit early. It's the third round. Walsh has worked the majority of his life to get himself a title shot. He's in his home country, and I thought it maybe could have went on a bit longer, but that's just my thoughts.
But Cam, did he land a punch? I mean, seriously, did Walsh do anything to give you the idea? I mean, if it were a corner stoppage, I could understand it even more, because if I was his trainer and I would see this, I would get fucking worried.
No, but I see your point, but it's not the 7th, 8th, 9th round where he's took a beating and he's not landing punches. It was only the third round, and up until that point, but both dudes, like Gervonta was landing the jab to the body, and like a few times he landed the straight left, but he wasn't having loads of success up until that point where he turned it up a bit in the third.
He wasn't doing much, like you said when we were there. You were saying to me he's not. Like Gervonta was waiting for him, wasn't he, in those first two?
Yeah, both were waiting.
Yeah, I mean, like as soon as the fight started, it ended.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. That's so true. But that's because Gervonta chose not to do anything. He just wanted to, feel him out for a little bit, see what this guy has. I don't even know if these motherfuckers watched tape of Walsh. It didn't seem like they respected him at all, and they had good reason to be honest.
I thought I gave Walsh a chance, not to ever win it, but to make it interesting early on and go a bit longer. But to be honest, I feel like Gervonta could have really looked at him for a minute and then stepped to him straight away and probably could have stopped him, in 1 or 2 rounds. That's what it felt like, didn't it? Because we were all really hyped, with the entrance and the crowd were really going to him, and we were all a bit deflated at the end of it, I think. We enjoyed the card, but it was a bit like, oh, wow, he's really good.
But were you deflated because of Walsh or because that he was a bit passive in the ring?
Not deflated. No, not deflated. It's not a thing, but just I think we were all hyped for it, and it just happened. And the golfing class, because it wasn't Davis's fault, was it? He's just that good.
Kim, I think we just wanted a bit more.
It wasn't competitive.
I think we just wanted a bit more. We felt like we didn't get enough.
Yeah. Yeah, because you went to go see the potential future star and everything. And it's like you didn't. It's like you got the little taste of the ice cream at the shop with the tiny spoon and shit. You didn't actually get a scoop.
I think they say in fine dining the amuse bouche, don't they? We got an amuse bouche of Davis.
Guys, I feel you. You guys bought a ticket, and you want to see some drama and excitement, but at the end of the day, it's fucking Liam Walsh, man.
But we had a good time. No one complaining about anything. Everyone had we had a great night. It's just.
Oh, the card was good as well, man.
I just wanted to see him tested, and he just wasn't. And that's not his fault. He's fucking good. He's really fucking good in the flesh. He's quick, man.
A big reason I wanted to go is because I do feel like Gervonta will be one of those guys that won't fight out of Vegas in a couple of years. So I thought it's a bit of an honour to kind of see him in the UK. So because I probably won't see him again live unless it's me going over to Vegas or some shit. So that was part of the reason for me. The undercard wasn't the greatest, but there were some competitive fights. In reality, on paper beforehand, it didn't look like a great card. But our seats were decent. The company was good. So yeah, overall, the arena is very good as well. There's that kind of old saying about every seat's a good seat, and it actually seems so. Like even the ones in the corner seems like if you had those tickets, like your angle into the ring was quite decent. So
now, Cam, you're the king of the seats, man. Those seats were fucking amazing. No one in front of us, right at the front of the balcony. They were as good a seats as there was in the house, I thought, the actual fight.
Only problem is, I think we're only the cunts that paid for tickets, because it seems like there were millions of competition winners.
The sold-out copper box.
Have you told the guys what they were doing at that place, Cam?
Yeah, Kimo, there's a footwear place called Foot Asylum, and I was walking past it, and the dude outside just had a handful of tickets. I was like, oh shit, this event's not done well. We spent our money and fucking people are getting tickets for free.
Oh, nice!
Handing them out in a shop. That Billy Joe fight. Yeah. If we don't go to Scotland for the fight, we should just go
to Westfield and hang outside.
Go and get free tickets. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, just go to Westfield, hang outside Foot Asylum, and you'll get a ticket.
Hold on. Did you just say if we go to Scotland, mate? That's not going to be the same shit.
No, I'm saying if we don't go to Scotland.
If we don't go to Scotland, if we don't go to Scotland, I'll go out there and get the Billy Joe free tickets. But can we talk about that entrance for a bit?
Yes.
Because I don't know how strong a look it is to dress up as one of the world's most famous child abusers. Like, personally, I don't think that's a great look.
Musically, though, MJ was a legend, so
Floyd is fucked in the head.
I think Floyd was dressed worse than Gervonta was.
Of those turn-ups, he had turn-ups up to his kneecaps, didn't he? He dresses like shit.
And that jacket. I thought that was a Pigford jacket first.
Yeah.
Yo, I don't think this was Floyd's idea, to be honest, because MJ is like too good of music for him. Like he doesn't listen to fucking MJ. He listens to this fucking trashy ass, crappy, sad excuse for hip hop that they call nowadays. Like. I think Gervonta is probably just an MJ fan, and to be honest,
I'm just fucking with you. I'm fucking with you, Chemo, man.
I'm serious. I fucking loved it, man. I thought it was brilliant. I think we need more shit like that in boxing, man. Gervonta is not a very well-spoken guy, When you see him in interviews, I'm sorry, the kid is not very bright, he doesn't speak well at all, and it's obvious as well where he comes from, his background. It's not like, I don't think he even finished school, right? Like he comes from the hood, but
he seems quite shy as well. So I think it's a combination of both those things.
Yeah, but
confidence.
Because there's people that aren't necessarily bright, but they can speak well. They're vociferous. He doesn't necessarily have that confidence, I don't think, in his public speaking.
No, but if he can compensate that a little bit with the showmanship, and then put on a performance like that, fuck yeah, man, bring it. I liked it a lot, man. I thought it was cool.
No, I loved it. In the arena, it was really good, and it was just a good atmosphere there.
People shouting, "You fat bastard!"
They got a good reaction. Good reaction, didn't it, Cam?
Yeah, but people shouting "You fat bastard" was quite hilarious.
Yeah.
Was that the Pigford fans or what?
That was everyone.
Yeah, me included.
Nah, but he's an exciting kid, man. I can't wait to see more of it. And he doesn't fight like fucking Floyd. You know what I mean? He goes for the kill, and he comes forward. So, yeah, I can't wait to see him in more elite type of fights.
Should we move quickly down the card?
Sure.
I just thought Anthony Yarde was playing with his food a bit. It seems like timing-wise, the card had run a bit early, so they said, okay, don't go out there and start him at one, take your time. But props to Chris Hobbs, though. He had a lot of heart. It's just he didn't have the skills and the power or anything. Basically, anything Yarde had, he had, 10% of it. And
he's so brave, isn't he, Cam?
But Cam, he was kicking stools around the ring after he'd been dropped 6 times in 4 rounds.
Yeah. Those body shots were just taking it all away from him, and he was so frustrated.
You could hear them, couldn't you?
Yeah. especially one of them. One was like a gunshot. I mean, you could clearly hear it, but it is kind of.
He had a bit of a Eubank about him, didn't he? Like stalking in.
Yeah.
And like being slow. Not doing anything.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like Yarde's performance. They're talking about like a WBO kind of step up now, like a trinket. So let's see where he goes, because these type of fights, like we need something else now. We need something more competitive.
Let's talk about that as well. Like he came to the ring with like 20 people all wearing like purge masks and all these different masks for an area title, and then didn't throw a punch for 2 rounds.
I think 20...
it was a bit like, all right, you save that for later when that fucking fight means something. Then you come with everyone, including children dressed in serial killer masks. That was weird.
I think 20 is a bit generous. I think there were 3, Leon. So, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. But he's massive, though, isn't he?
It's crazy because like when you look at the size of these two compared to each other, like you don't think Yarde makes like heavy. You think he's at least cruiser or like even a small heavyweight. The guy's massive, but Leon, we were kind of trying to contemplate, like, where has he not got the muscle mass? Because we were thinking his legs must be like Wilder's and just like little fucking toothpicks, but like the dude's like heavily set everywhere.
Yo, but Cam, his opponent, I mean, I don't know his opponent at all, but what is that dude normally at the same weight class as Yarde, or has he moved up?
All his fights have been at like 175 or above. He's never been lower than that.
Yeah, he had the
belt.
That's
fucking crazy.
He had the belt chemo. He had the area sub belt. He was obviously fought a few times there.
I don't understand. Those guys looked at least 2 weight classes apart.
It's crazy.
He's a fucking unit, man. This guy. I mean, how did he make the weight?
You know, they say
I want to go back actually and watch the weigh-in. Now that I think about it, I want to see what he looked like. Like, this is crazy.
Maybe those scales were off. I know,
Jesus Christ.
Gervonta had this issue that he had to go back to 3 times. But yeah, it's crazy how big the Yarde is. But you guys got anything else on Yarde? Inoue, did you see that fight?
No, I haven't. I haven't gotten a chance to peep the undercard of the whole Davis Walsh thing. I was dead, man. I was dead DOA when I first fucking woke up, so I wasn't able to catch much of it.
There's nothing to watch in that Yarde fight. I don't think it showed anything really about Yarde. We didn't learn anything, did we, Cam? Really?
No.
Well, one quick thing. Do you think that this guy has stamina issues? I mean, I know he fought at a pace which was very comfortable, but I don't know. There are some glimpses in there that you think like, okay, if he has a bit more of a live opponent in front of him and he starts throwing bombs, I don't know.
I think if you make him work and move a lot, I think he could gas because of his body type.
Exactly. He's got the AJ bit in him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No,
throw a few heavy combos and he's breathing heavily.
Yeah, I need someone to test him and take him some rounds. But from the interview, he's saying that he does spar 10 rounds, but sparring is sparring. So yeah, he needs to do it in the ring. But let's move on down the card. What else we got?
Daniel Dubois.
Dubois. I like this kid. He's young. Again, Leon, we were talking at the fight that he's not got that AJ build where he looks like he's gonna gas out. He looks like an old school heavyweight, like
he looks like an early '90s guy to me, like a Bo or one of those guys.
Someone that's like big, but they're not dense in the sense of after 4 rounds they're gonna be blowing heavily. When he looks,
he doesn't look tight.
Looks like a throwback.
He didn't look stiff, did he? Big stiff guy. He didn't look like one of them guys.
Nope. But I don't know. Again, his opponent got stopped by what was his name? The White Rhino. So if the White
I was bang on though. I said 30 seconds, Cam, and it lasted 35 seconds.
Yeah, like you should have put some money on that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing much to say. You caught him with a nice, I think it was a right hander.
Yeah, straight right kind of thing.
Caught him on the chin. Right hand.
He threw some more punches, but like he was going down, so they missed, and he was stopped. But yeah,
off the eye test, But I mean, how is he 19? Like, big on the telly, in the flesh, he looked mental that he's 19.
Yeah.
I mean, what's he going to look like when he's 26?
Does he look bigger in person than on TV?
I thought so.
Yeah,
like broader, wider, like much wider than he looked. Because he looked a little skinny on TV, but he's broad, man.
Wow, I wouldn't go far saying skinny, man.
No, but I know. But it didn't. I think it's difficult because I'm comparing. You know, you looking at those big guys. He just doesn't have that body type, so maybe he just looks smaller because he's not as defined.
Mm.
He looks naturally defined. Like he looks like that's what he, like an athlete.
Well, his weight was 234, and his opponent who obviously looked like he was carrying a bit of extra mass, but not. He wasn't like fat. He was 256. And like Dubois looked much bigger than him when you look at frame size. So
okay, he's actually not that heavy then.
No, he's not like in the 250s. So I hope he
He's
stays
19.
around there. I hope he stays around there because me and Hamada said in the past that when AJ was down around 230 when he first turned pro, I think that was just better weight for him. He's obviously packed on more muscle. It may have helped with the power, but it's hindering. I personally think his stamina. So yeah.
I do think he is way too raw, though, for us to still make a judgment on this. And I do mean raw, not just because of his age, but just the way he's acting in the ring currently. You know, like, I don't know, say Box Nation where we're like fucking talking about, oh, look at his balance. He never crosses his feet. I'm like, he's a fucking pro fighter. He's supposed to do that. Like, what do you want a compliment for not crossing your feet?
Yeah.
Like, that's some fucking first day gym shit that you're taught. You know what I mean? Like,
that's fair. But the feeling I get with Box Nation and BT is they're trying to ride the heavyweight train that AJ's created. So they're just trying to push any old shits to the general public, in my sense. So they're just trying to build him and say, look, he's the next big thing, and get on the hype train. That's what it seems like.
They can hype the guy, but they're full of shit, man. All he's doing is literally, when you do your first boxing class and you do a little step forward and you slide the back foot behind it. That's literally what he was doing, and they're like, "Oh my God, look at the balance! Look at the balance! Oh, he's always in perfect position." I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?" He just took a step forward. Like, seriously?
It doesn't mean anything. Like, we learned nothing about him really on the night. The most interesting thing was to see him in the flesh, like, as a specimen rather than what he actually did in the ring, That's I took away more from that than the actual fight. Like, it's all eye test. It's all eye test at the moment and guesswork, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I'm fucking riding that train till it smashes into the fucking ground.
Yeah, Kimo, don't get on that train, please. You're just gonna derail that shit. So
I was on it, and then he changed his name, and then I kind of took one foot off the train, so I'm still halfway on it, but I do want dangerous Daniel Dubois to return and not fucking what's the new one?
Dynamite.
Yeah,
Dynamite. See, even the way he said it was lame, like Dynamite. It doesn't sound right, man.
I think that was more me, that, to be honest.
I also need to add, I don't need Chemo's help smashing a hype train off the rails anymore. I'm more, he doesn't need to get on the hype train. I can destroy a fighter on my own these days.
Your records are not too bad, not as bad as Chemo's. So. You two,
I don't know.
You two on a hype train together, that's like bad news.
Well, yeah, we saw what happened there, didn't we?
Yep. Yeah. Stay away. All right, let's move down. Probably the fight of the night, Pigford versus Morgan. Really fun fight, 2 undefeated guys, exactly 12 wins, no defeats each, and turned out to be a nice little brawl. Both lacked a bit of, fundamentals, but it's just a fun kind of classic British low-level fight to watch.
It was really good, and Jamaica was like, he turned around and was like, who are you picking? I was like, I don't know. He's like, you have to pick one. I was like, all right, I'll just pick Pigford because I like the name. Cam picked the other guy. I won't say why Cam picked the other guy, and so we picked a side and watched it, and it turned out to be something, probably the most exciting fight of the night, and the KO was sickening, wasn't it?
It was brutal. I was a bit worried at
he was twitching, wasn't he?
Yeah, and the way he fell back and his legs were bent, I was a bit nervous for him, but obviously I'm glad that he got up and recovered. But
and the name, calling you'll call Pigford, but the name you're going to choose is the Pigford.
Yes,
I mean it's quality, and all his fans are dressed up. I saw at least 3 of them dressed fully as pigs and had inflatable pigs in the window, and they were like, they came out to madness, and there was pints going everywhere. Luckily, we could just look down on them. It was madness.
Yeah,
they're probably pure casuals, but I mean,
Yeah, you probably had the best support in the house.
Yeah. But he was, I mean, that right hand, that other guy who could, like Harder said, he could just throw the right hand all night. It just landed on him. He just had his chin right out there, didn't he, the pig?
Yeah, Morgan wasn't great, but like the right hand was landing. Like Pigford just had that low left hand, and if you got that low left hand, you have to have really good reflexes, man. And they weren't, he's a bit too slow to move away. He was getting caught. If Morgan had a bit more power, he probably would have like dropped him or even stopped him, and he was outboxing him and just catching him with the right hand. But the combinations that actually dropped and stopped Morgan were nice, man. He caught him with I think it was a right hand at the top of the head, and he dipped a bit, caught his balance again, sprang back up, and I think he caught another right hand to this head, and then a short little left uppercut. That's the one that did the most damage, put him down, and he was in that weird position, and we were a bit worried. But yeah, thank you.
He looked like he just finished a knee slide, didn't he? It was scary.
Goal celebration style, yeah.
But he had the George Groves leg.
Yeah, he did. But he had both legs. It was weird.
Oh shit!
Yeah, but he landed clean on the pig so many times, didn't he? Yeah. Like in those early first. But when Pigford started coming back into it, it's just the name's just too good. Because I was like going to Jamaica. It's feeding time for the pig, and like he was coming on this Jamaica. Yeah, his snout's in the trough. I mean, it's just the name is just fucking glorious.
So many metaphors.
Oh my god. Yo, Leon, I think the other guy basically just punched himself out on Pigford.
Oh, yeah, he gassed. He
fucking punched himself out on his chin, like literally. I don't think he missed a lot of shots the whole fight. And like you said, chin is straight up in the air, and he just looks at the shots, and he just lets them fucking connect. I mean, it's quite savage to be honest. I mean, he's not going to have a very long career, but goddamn it, I'll watch every fight of him that's going to come up, man. I mean, what a name. The pig. Fucking brilliant.
Just quickly, Ryan Walsh was on the card. I think he opened it against Malcolm McCulloch. It wasn't really a great fight to watch. McCulloch was just so negative, always going backwards, gets on the ropes, using head movement to try and avoid. He was getting caught on times. And Howard Foster was just waiting for an opportunity to jump in, and we were even like saying, "Oh look, Foster's getting ready, and then McCulloch would throw back, and he's like, "Oh, Foster missed his opportunity to stop it," and eventually
he was like leaning in with his head, wasn't he, shuffling his feet, and he was like desperate to jump in.
Yeah, desperate to stop it, and he eventually did in the 11th, and I think McCulloch's corner.
But that McCulloch had no conviction, did he, Cam?
No,
at all.
He didn't look like he came to win at all. He just came for the paycheck, and maybe if I get lucky I'll land a shot. But Ryan Walsh was decent.
But those Walshes, the other thing they do that annoys me, they stand up in the corner, don't they? All of them.
Why does
all
that
the
annoy
brothers. You? Fucking sit down. Sit your ass down.
Catch that 60-second rest.
Yeah, Gervonta has been whooping you. Sit down. You get some fucking rest, you dickhead.
What else was there? Our boy Ben Jones was on the card.
We saw the end of it, didn't we?
Yeah, we got there a bit late, and we just catch the last 2-3 rounds. But that's about it, really. Unless you guys got anything else to add. I know you want to... Kimo, you kind of took a bit of a shot at Bunce and stuff, but here's your opportunity to shit on him a bit more if you want.
I mean, the guy's an absolute disgrace. I don't know what else to say there is. And
give us some of the lines then. Because I missed it. I didn't see it. What's he been up to?
Well, I wasn't even on... Was I on last week's show? I don't even fucking remember. But
No,
because Cam played the soundbite, right? Of the one of...
the good
two separate weight classes. This is good matchmaking, you know? I mean, to be honest, I'm being fair here. I'm not being a fucking Sky junkie. Everybody always shits on fucking Sky for this shit. Rightfully so, yeah? I mean, Johnny Nelson is an absolute fucking twat. But I don't think he's ever said something like that, to be honest. What Sky does, Sky kind of politely exaggerates, if you want to call it that. They make everybody out to be a little greater than they are. They tend to hype things up as if it's a big event, but they don't make like these insane fucking outrageous claims. Like
I think they're almost slip of the tongues, like he's like trying to let you behind the curtain, and then he goes too far.
No. He's just delusional, man. Because you can see it in the broadcast, Leon. You can see him visibly get angry. He was not building up the fight. You can see it in his eyes, man. This guy is fucking angry for some reason. He has some sort of complex about American fighters coming here. He has that a lot. He gets overly patriotic, you know? And then he's like, oh, Gervonta hasn't done fucking shit, you know? He's only beaten Jose Pedraza. Let's get it straight, yeah? Liam Walsh would stop Pedraza. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Whoa, did he?
He said that, man. Word for word. I'm not... Without the F-bombs, obviously, but that's what he said, literally.
Mental.
That's what he said. And I've never heard something that fucking outrageous on Sky. You know what I mean? A Sky person would say, like, oh, Walsh is, like, fringe world level because he's beaten X guy, you know? Like, they'll say something like that. But they'll not make an outrageous fucking claim that is complete horseshit like that.
But I'll tell you the one thing, just sorry quickly, Cam, because I said this to you in the arena. The thing I do like about it is that they were down there, there was none of their active fighters on the fucking panel. I can't stand that shit with Sky, where it's like the buddy club. So, I mean, I know Bunch is bad, but I'd rather have retired fighters there than just like Paul Smith or fucking they've got all, Bellew, all these people who are actively fighting, scoring fights with people they fucking know.
There's bias and there's sheer delusion. And Sky's biased, but Bunce is just fucking delusional.
Delusional's funny, so I'll take delusional.
It's not funny, man. The guy's fucking annoying because he has the most annoying voice in the world. I don't know anybody with a more annoying voice than Bunce. I mean, who talks like this? Seriously.
Kimo, I'm gonna buy you his new book just to cheer you up, I think.
I will burn it in a fucking ritual. Seriously.
Right, Kimo,
fuck that guy.
Most
Seriously.
people know you.
And he keeps talking. Sorry, Cam. He keeps talking about fucking Jeff Lacey as well the whole time.
Actually, yeah, I was going to say that was a bit of an irk of mine because they're saying, "Oh, this could be a Jeff Lacey moment." Yes, but Liam Walsh is no, Joe Calzaghe. So let's stop right there. But they weren't.
It's a ridiculous statement.
It was.
Sorry. Let me just quickly jump in and give you another quote. What he said right before that. He said, Gervonta is not as good as Jeff Lacey. He literally just flat out yelled that in the microphone.
He's an idiot.
There you go. That's your boy, Cam. This guy's, I don't know. I think he might have done a few lines before the broadcast, man. He was just rambling and yelling on. It's just...
He should come out with me and had a little smoke, and that might have calmed him down a bit.
Calmed him down, yeah. But just on the flip side, though, Kimo, it is refreshing. Like, we've had it a couple of weeks ago when the Box Nation BT panel were talking about the AJ versus Vlad fight, their predictions for it beforehand. And then on Saturday during commentary, Woodhall and Rawling did mention like the Brook fight coming up against Spence. So Sky never do shit like that. So I have to commend, them talking about a rival fight that's going on a rival channel.
Yeah, but Cam, they're trying to get the interest, they're kind of riding off the back of AJ's popularity as well, right? When you mention AJ, everybody, 90% of the UK currently is like, huh, what? They're going to tune in.
Yeah, but
like,
they're not riding off the back of Brook, are they?
Yeah, they're not going to benefit of talking about Brook versus Spence.
Exactly.
Well, Brook's a bit of a draw these days, isn't he? Selling out a stadium.
He's a unit.
He's a chest of drawers. That's about it.
Oh God, they all have their own faults, Cam. I know what you're saying. Like BT has their own little, plus side, but God, man, I was fucking just angry at this broadcast. And thank God, again, you guys said it last week. Thank God that Dempsey is there, man. Dempsey is the fucking man.
And Jones, to be fair, those two,
God.
And Woodhall and Bunce are the weak link.
Fucking love Dempsey, man. No my party, David.
Woodhall's gone downhill for me recently. I'm disappointed. I hope he comes back, but because
he's a little Britter, isn't he? He's just
he's become a
flag waver.
Yeah. All right, I'm done for that part. Unless you guys got anything else to add?
I like his voice though, Cam. Sorry, real quick. I like Woodhall's voice actually. I think he has a broadcast friendly voice, especially when he gets a bit excited and calls shit.
Kimo, I like it. Did you see that part with the Ronald-McIntosh? Where he went to interview Floyd and he said Floyd Mayweather Jr. and he's like, no, well, I'm Floyd Joy Mayweather. My father was Floyd Mayweather, and he corrected him.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And Ronald, after that, in his interviews after, he was trying to like show his boxing knowledge because it seemed like Floyd shitted on him because he doesn't know about boxing, so he had to kind of pull the big guns out and be a bit more specific in his content. It was quite funny to watch, actually.
Yeah, but that was, again, he called him Junior, right? He said Floyd Mayweather Jr.?
Yeah.
So what the fuck is wrong with that? I don't understand.
That's what I thought. Look, when he came back and said, "Oh, it's Floyd George Mayweather." My father was. That's what. Wait, everyone knows he's Junior. What's going on? That's what I thought.
Yeah, he's just being dick.
Yeah. Well, I think he has a little bit of a complex about that too. I mean, that goes back a long ways.
Can I? The other thing I was going to say, the atmosphere in there was really good, wasn't it? And like, we only saw one little scuffle, not like those matchroom cars where everyone's fighting everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what did you think
it was
about the
much
arena?
more relaxed, wasn't it?
The arena was decent, wasn't it?
The arena was decent, and the people in there seemed to know about boxing, other than maybe some of the guys who were there for their fight, who know the fighter personally. But everyone else, the kind of conversations I overheard.
Exactly, like people sat next to me, like, yeah, they knew, like,
people
they
were talking about fights, not just fucking talking about AJ's biceps and how pretty Eddie Hearn is.
No, that's fair. I overheard conversations, and the people that were talking did seem to know that they follow boxing. So yeah, that was good to see.
Too many TMT hats in there for my liking, but
Yeah, and fuck Floyd for taking away the shine from Gervonta, man, that motherfucker. Seriously. And then BT asked him about a McGregor fight. I mean, are you fucking serious? God damn.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him as much as I blame them for asking stupid fucking questions.
Yeah, but Kimo, just quickly on that, like the BT panel did make a good point that they were kind of he kind of took the pressure off Gervonta, which I kind of agree with. We just discussed earlier that he's kind of young, he's not that well spoken, he seems a bit shy. So I think Floyd was just kind of taking, especially him being overseas, getting booed, being like almost not the underdog, but being like. Not the home fighter where he's not got his home comforts. So, in that respect, I think Floyd's presence did help him a bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not even just not having his home comforts, but having like a hostile crowd, really.
And I also think he got there a bit late because, Spence got into the UK, I think, on Sunday, so that would give him just under 2 weeks to prepare. And I think Gervonta got in on Sunday and he's fighting on Saturday night. I think it's a bit short. I think if you're fighting overseas, you have to at least minimum 10 days.
Yeah, because you got to get, probably take a couple of days for the jet lag and then,
a few
from your pre-fight preparations and all that too.
Yeah.
Cam, were TMT partying up in the hotel?
When I got there, it was a bit dead, to be honest. Maybe they came back afterwards,
really?
because a few TMT guys were staying at my hotel. So, I'm done on this card. Anything else?
Nah,
Move on.
Okay, basically this part of the show is over to you and Chemo, Leon, because you guys got you guys got bits to talk
I
about.
haven't been able to get the fucking smile off my face all fucking day. This fight. You're fucking glorious, man. You got fucking iced. Iced. I don't care what anyone says. Not an issue with that. Clean iced L.
It wasn't athletic icing. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
I am so... People have been telling me how fucking good this guy is for fucking years. Yet another fucking failure. When does he ever turn up?
No, I mean,
Someone
to be
tell
fair,
me when
man,
he fucking turns up.
To be fair, no, Durell has always been a good fighter, but the whole thing is, I mean, I agree with you. He got knocked out. All this, oh my God, he punched him after. Fuck out of here with that. He was throwing a combination as the bell fucking rang. Secondly, he can't speak English, so he doesn't know what the fuck the ref is even telling his ass.
And the ref was a mile away over the other fucking side of the ring.
And thirdly, protect yourself at all times. Durell failed in that, and he got failed. Is what happened. He got put down. And not only that, but you could even hear in the on TV and everything. You could hear his corner yelling for him to stay down. What the hell is that shit?
Oh, I'm so glad they caught that on mic. Fucking glorious.
And then the referee's telling Durell, okay, if you can't get up, I'm gonna disqualify him. Like what?
Yeah,
what is that?
That was stupid. Like Paulie picked up on that as well, and you can't be making comments like that in earshot of the fighter, because what he's not gonna get up then if he thinks, well, I'm gonna get a free disqualification.
He just got his fucking brain scrambled. Do you think he's gonna get up after that? Like, oh yeah, I'll go a few more rounds with this guy. And not only that, it's not like it was just one shot. Uzcategui was giving him the business the entire fight.
he was beating him up. I had him. What was it? He was a good couple of rounds up, if not more.
Nah.
I think I had him like a point up or two.
Yeah,
but, I thought it was
maybe.
fairly close because the thing is, Uzcategui was waiting too long.
Yeah, he was waiting. He was waiting.
Was able to outpunch.
I totally agree.
That's true.
I watched that back today, and obviously over the weekend I read a lot of controversy about what happened during the fight and after the fight. And when I watched the fight itself, Uzcategui had a good start, but as it went on, like, I thought Durell was better on his jab, and he was controlling the ring, where I think Uzcategui was just kind of trying to walk him down, but he wasn't throwing. He was getting in a position, but then wouldn't throw. But Leon, who took a bigger L? Andre Durell, Clarissa Shields, or Uncle Leon Lawson?
All Clarissa. Of them. Everyone's going, it's disgusting, it's horrible what his uncle did. It's
you got
magical.
To toss in Anthony. You got to toss in Anthony for that, too.
Attacking
he attacked the commissioner, man.
Exactly, the medical commissioner. So everyone's really offended, and it's horrible, and it's a terrible thing what he did, and he should be in prison. And it's a smudge on the spot. I fucking enjoyed every fucking second of it.
Yeah, what the uncle did was
glorious,
bullshit.
Man.
Like that.
Yeah, it's bullshit. But I'm glad he did it.
The whole thing, that was a total sucker punch, because it's like he was talking to Uzcategui's trainer, right? He's just looking at him like, and Uzcategui just kind of looking off, and it's just like, I'm not entirely sure what's going on. And then he just, snuffs him with a 2-piece, and he didn't even hurt his ass.
That boy's got a chin.
Weighs like 260 pounds.
He's got a chin. All right,
ran it.
His two best wins are DQs.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate. Are you all agreed that you thought that it was a legit knockout?
Well, let me give my input on this quickly, Cam, because
I'll stop trolling.
By the way, I love Leon how you enjoy like every aspect of this whole disaster, including sucker punches and everything. But
the meltdown.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a complete beautiful disaster. But I mean, Cam, I've watched this knockout several times, right? And I really, when people were telling me, because I hadn't seen the fight live, obviously, right? When people were telling me that there was, Durell got fucking hit after the bell and he got flattened and this and that. When I watched it, I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, first of all, I have seen way fucking worse in boxing.
So many worse.
And it never leads to a discussion like this. It's only happening because Durell got knocked out. Which is logical, by the way, obviously, because there were severe consequences to it. But I'm also talking about the timing of it, right? As Naota said, he is literally in a combination. And it wasn't just, it was a fast an aggressive combination that he was throwing. And he's in the fucking zone, man. Like, this happens all the time. It happens all the fucking time. I was even watching, and I told you this point earlier.
Sometimes you can't even hear the bell.
Yeah, of course, but it's not only that. Like, you're in the motion, man. You're going for the fucking kill. Like, he has this guy hurt. You know what I mean? He tagged him first with a couple of punches before he went for the final knockout blow. And if you look at other fights, right? I mentioned Steve Willis before. Like, there was a moment. God, which fight was he reffing again, Cam? I'm blanking out.
Over this weekend. The Crawford
which fight was he reffing this weekend?
Crawford.
Was it
Crawford?
Thank you. In the end of the 9th round, Crawford versus Diaz, they are both exchanging, right? Both of them, because it doesn't just have to be one guy that's throwing exchange, right? Both of them are exchanging. The bell goes, and they're still throwing. Willis literally grabs Diaz from the back, and he yanks him off, creating an immediate reaction from both fighters, making them stop. Did one of the punches maybe like land or move after a bell for maybe a split second, like a 1/10 of a second or whatever? Yes. Does that mean it's really a punch after the bell? No, it's not.
He was hurt before the bell, man.
Yeah, exactly. But the fighters are exchanging. You can't expect somebody to suddenly stop mid-motion.
Yeah, well, just to look at the exact combination. He threw what he called a left hook, a right hand, then another left hook. Those first two shots were completely before the bell. That third shot was
muscle memory
after the bell, But
Yeah.
I mean, he was already in the motion of throwing it as the bell was ringing. So there's that, like you have to have like the perfect amount of muscle memory, like beyond in order to keep that last punch from landing. On top of that, Durell was pretty much already out on his feet after the second punch, if not the first.
Exactly.
The whole you said it earlier when we were talking. AJ's doing it. The AJ White. Remember AJ White?
Several times.
And they did it. Everyone was in the ring. They were punching for about a minute afterwards, and they haven't really pulled apart. No one got disqualified in that because they knew it was a heated. Maybe that fight is slightly different because it's a supposed heated rivalry. But that fight wasn't called off.
But you know what the difference is, Leon?
It's because he got KO'd.
Well, not only that, but it's like when you have a combination and you finish that combination maybe like I said, a tenth of a second after the bell goes. That doesn't look the same as when you literally take a pause and fire off a shot when the bell goes. It's visually something completely different. And that's what happens a lot, in like, for example, with AJ and Y, when there's two fighters that don't really fucking like each other and one kind of throws another one after the bell just for good measure. It happens all the time in boxing, you know what I mean? And that is so blatant. And what happens? Nothing. The ref just says, hey, guys, come on, let's keep it clean,
Well, it happened earlier in the fight too, and Al Bernstein was even saying that he didn't think that the ref probably would have disqualified him had he not warned him earlier, because the shot that he had landed earlier definitely was after the bell. He had landed a right hand.
Yeah, in the end of the second round.
The third round or something.
Second, yeah, that was the end of the second, and he did throw another one at the end of the sixth, I think, but it didn't land, and I think that kind of played into the mind of the ref. I'm not trying to condone it because I mostly agree with you guys. I'm just playing devil's advocate. But I think that played.
But the ref was miles away.
He was. It's
you hear
positioning.
The clapper, get close. Hear the clapper. 10 seconds. Get
It's
close.
the refs. Yeah. It's the ref's job when you have an aggressive fight going on to be in a position that you can send a clear signal to the fighters to stop the action. You know what I mean? If let's say let's give you another let's go to an extreme example. What if the two guys are both hurt and they're swinging for the fences? You know what I mean? What if both guys are concussed and they're fucking going at it? Do you really think they're gonna hear the fucking bell within a tenth of a second?
Or have a sense to know what's going on?
Yeah. No, man, exactly. That is all about referee positioning and intervening in the fight and stopping the action in a confident manner. The guy was nowhere near the action, like you said, Leon. He couldn't even stop it if he tried. He wasn't close enough.
Do you guys remember in the Pigford-Morgan fight, at the end of one of the rounds, both guys kept throwing after the bell went?
Yeah.
And then at the start
of the next... They landed on each other.
Yeah, and at the start of the next, the ref deducted a point from both guys. But it was kind of hilarious because Leon was sat next to him and he thought that the ref was deducting the point because Morgan's team left a towel on his shoulder. that was hilarious.
I forgot about that. I just come back in from outside, so I was a little bit confused. Can I just say seriously, because I was trolling and mucking around and like it is, but people saying that uncle did something out of love or emotion. He stood in front of him, looked at the other guy and fucking clean clocked him. And obviously he's got pillows for fists. But that was nothing, that was calculated. There was nothing emotional. He wasn't screaming, ranting. He was standing there cold, dead in his eyes, conversation, and he sucker punched him.
Yeah, and that was after.
It's disgusting, man. Really disgusting.
That was after Andre said that he forgave Uzcategui for what happened. That was after that.
Oh, thanks. Forgave me. Is he Jesus? I mean, what's he talking about? Forgiveness in the combat.
No, but the whole thing is Andre was trying to at least diffuse the situation.
Yes,
true. He got away with whatever he got away with. He got his belt and everything. So he's thinking, okay, I'm just going to try and get past this now. But his uncle definitely didn't, and it looked like Anthony and Clarissa didn't either. I think that was a terrible move on Shields' part.
But to say that he was lucky to come home. I mean, that's taking it that's milking it a bit, isn't it? It's a dangerous sport, but she went crackers, didn't she? Weirdo.
Yeah.
But it's not good looks for her, is it?
Yeah, she's my new favorite Twitter account, man. I cannot believe the shit she was fucking tweeting at people, man. Telling them she's gonna beat the fuck out of somebody.
It was pretty amusing seeing James DeGale and Ishe Smith check her though. She didn't react very well to that.
Yeah, but yeah.
And if E.J. Smith's handing L's to you, time to get out of town.
Badu Jack was quite funny as well when he's saying that he stole James DeGale's teeth and he's going to sell them on eBay for a couple of dollars. That was quite hilarious.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
But, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the faggot part as well. That was class.
One of your favourite words.
People got raging about that, you know.
Fucking oversensitive Yanks or what?
Yeah.
No, Brits, unfortunately. British journalists got upset about that. Fucking the worst of the worst.
But yo, I mean, Durell even said it himself. He actually, I mean, obviously he's not really a credible source because he was concussed, but he even said it himself, like in the interview, like, oh, he hit me with a punch when the bell was going at the same time. Like that's what he said himself in the interview. Like he wasn't even that upset. Normally he's a drama queen, like with Abraham, for example. Yeah. I mean, that was
the Abraham. The thing is, to me, the Abraham thing was a different story even than this fight. You know, that was like clearly Durell was down. He got called down. Fucking Abraham like really cheap shotted him. You know,
and Abraham looked at him and then hit him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
He looked at him and then hit him.
But people have said, I saw people on Twitter saying, using that as an excuse for the reaction of people because he had neurological damage when that happened.
Yeah,
totally different narrative.
That's exactly why I'm trying to. That's exactly why I'm trying to say it's a terrible excuse because it's not
terrible narrative.
It's not even close to the same situation happening.
No, not at all.
Do you think you think his uncle's going to blame the water in Flint, Michigan?
But by the way, Leon, he doesn't have neurological damage. Yeah,
I'm just saying what
that was
said.
A fucking lie. That was a fucking lie made up. Somebody with neurological damage would never, ever, ever be sanctioned to get back in the ring. That's fucking horseshit. He just didn't want to fight Ward, man. Fuck Andre Ward, by the way. But yeah, let's continue.
Just had to slip that in. All right, we're gonna go off and come back to this Showtime card when Chemo goes to get some sleep. So, Chemo, Josh Taylor, Ohara Davis, both guys found their pens.
Wow, they certainly did. Fucking amazing, man. I didn't think it was going to happen, to be honest. It would be too good to be true, but this is a cracking fight. And we've already talked a little bit about it, Cam, but we're considering and planning a little bit to meet up at this fight. There's a high chance of this happening. And I think it's going to be fucking amazing, dude. It's going to be in Glasgow. Amazing crowd. I know Ohara is going to bring some fucking drama as well, man. I like the fact that he's willing to talk shit and put himself out there. I always enjoy that. And, man, you know me, man. When I get on a fucking hype train with somebody, it's dangerous territory, but I can't help but fucking love Josh Taylor, man. I love the way he fights. I love the fact that he's Scottish. I love his body shots, everything. So we should fucking go, and it's going to be nuts. It's going to be fucking amazing. Shout out to Brian King.
It's going to be off the chain.
Yeah.
Leon, Neota, you guys have any thoughts?
Just happy that they've both been willing to take the fight. And look, Ohara Davis is a bit of a bell end, and he gets a lot of shit on Twitter and stuff. But everyone comes out of this smelling of roses, don't they? Because it's a fight that we all call for, never expected, and they managed to do business. So the McGuigans and the Hearns managed to sort it out. But I imagine it's the fighters. I believe it's the fighters who wanted this fight and who made it, because that's not like Hearn. Because I thought they were building up Ohara, but now he's going over to Channel 5. So if that's Ohara, fair play. Because like to walk off, to take an L off Sky, if he takes an L off Sky, that's not exactly easy to come back from.
It's a bit unusual, isn't it?
It's very unusual. So I think the fighter wanted it. I think both fighters get full credit because they both wanted this fight. And it's not waiting to marinate, or saw some people on Twitter, it'd be a bigger fight.
It's true. Like, I saw a hate interview, and he'd be, this fight will be bigger if they both become world champions. It's like, we don't want to wait until then. Like, they could always have a great fight now, and then down the road have a rematch if needs be. But like, look at Groves versus the Gale. You know, they had the early fight on, and both guys went in different directions. Had success, and if they want the rematch in the future, it's still there. Like, why do we have to wait so long? It's refreshing that this fight.
Because people are mental about zeros as well. If it's a British level fight, you can take a loss there. Do you know? I think it's easier to build down and then work your way back up to a title. You know, more fighters should do it.
Yeah,
Leon, if I can just quickly build on that. I mean, I think it shows once again that, you know, if the fighters are willing to take charge of their career, good things will happen, man. I mean, I think, again, nowadays, so many fucking fighters hide behind their goddamn promoter, and it pisses me off every fucking time I hear the quote, "It's up to my promoter." You know what I mean? Like, no, motherfucker, he works for you. And say what you want. I know Hearn is a compulsive liar, but he said this in the past in interviews as well. He said, if the fighter comes to me and tells me I want to do this and he is determined to do that, he said, I'll fucking make it happen for him, you know? But if you want me to like build your career and guide it in the way that, you know, that I see fit, then I'll do that as well. And I think, you know, you got to give us a little bit of credit here. Like it did happen at the end of the day. On another fucking network as well. Like that's pretty sweet, man. I don't know what Hearn maybe saw in Ohara, that he's maybe a little bit too loony for him to promote and guide in a professional way. But fuck, man, it's really great news, and once again it shows, man. If you want to fucking take charge of your career, do it, man. If you want to be fucking great, do it. I mean, these guys. I mean, can you call them still prospects? In a way, they still are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is their British level fight, isn't it? This is their big kind of. It's a Commonwealth. I don't know if there's a British belt on it, but it feels like an old-fashioned British level. It's like Ben Watson back in the day. You know, it's that kind of thing.
I think it could be special, man. I really think it could be a fucking special night.
How much? Because I know there's Ohara who winds the fuck up out of everyone, but are we? And he's only beaten Derry Matthews. Is he completely counted out in this fight? Because I don't think he can because of his long arms. He's a big dude.
No, dude, this is 50-50, man. At least this is not.
If you can keep Josh needs to get close and work him. If you can keep him, you know, at arm's length, then he can be competitive. So it's definitely like a 50-50 fight.
It's a great fight.
Yeah, as high I'm really high on Josh, but I think physically that dude Ohara's man got like freakishly long arms, man. He's like some type of fucking weird beast.
Who's bigger? Like, because Josh is quite tall, but he's quite stocky though. I mean, they're kind of nicely matched, aren't they?
Yeah, I think physical strength wise, I think the advantage is definitely with Ohara, man. He just looks tough, dude. He looks like a tough fucking dude, and Josh fights in a very high pace, like with a strong temperament, you know, like
yeah.
I could see this go many different ways. I could also see Josh struggling, you know, because he's throwing bombs and trying to hurt this fucking dude, and he's unsuccessful. Then what?
Yeah, because Ohara's got those long arms, like it covers his body all the way to his head. Like there's not much exposed. But I'm just looking at box rec. They don't actually have Ohara's height and reach, but they got Taylor down at 5'10" with a 69.5-inch reach. But we know depth.
Because I thought Taylor had quite long arms as well for quite long arms for the weight.
Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to this, man. Really.
Boys, let's make it happen, man. I can't wait to fucking meet up and go crazy.
I think Ohara might. The interesting thing with Ohara, he fights at a slow pace. It'd be interesting to see if he can take Josh's pace. I think that's what could win it for Josh. I'll pick Taylor now.
Yeah, Naota, I know this is a kind of a hyped up British fight, but I know you kind of watch both dudes because you're just a boxing addict. And are you kind of glad that it's getting made quite early?
Yeah, definitely. It's a really good fight. I mean, like if I was to make a comparison, I'd probably say DeGale Groves. I mean, I remember a few years back, you know, both when they were kind of on the come up and everything. I took some notice of that. You know, like I would read some of the British magazines and stuff like that. So I was really interested in that fight, and I'm definitely even more interested, I think, in this fight because I know more about both fighters than I did about Groves and DeGale back in that day. So yeah, definitely an interesting fight. Both fighters may go on to, become pretty solid the way that kind of Groves and DeGale did. They both kind of reached their ceiling, of course, but still, they did a lot more than most fighters ever do. So I'm really interested to see them both like truly tested. It's not too often that you get like two real prospects on the come up like that, being able to face off against each other. So I'm really interested.
One of my favourite things about this fight, it is a fight for the hardcores, I think. It's not like a casual fight. It's like people that know boxing really wanted this fight, and I feel kind of privileged that we're getting it. So,
okay. In Scotland, there will be a lot of casuals, right? I mean, the local audience will definitely come out for this.
No, it's true. I'm just thinking overall, like, it's not going to have crazy hype, which I like. Sometimes you want these type of fights to go under the radar so you don't get those, like, crazy-ass casual fans that don't know shit what they're talking about, but... you're right, though. The Scots will come out and back Taylor, but let's move on. Sorry, Dan, what you saying?
When is the fight?
July 8th, same night as the Billy Joe Saunders versus Kusidis fight.
Yeah,
man, I'm sorry. I can't go to. I can't meet you guys up because I already got tickets to the Kusidis fight. My bad, man.
No, you can just sell him at Foot Asylum or just give him away or something.
I'm kidding. I'll look at tickets right now. Actually, I'll look at just plane tickets and shit for the 8th. That's a good fight, man.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're gonna come to Glasgow?
I actually keep to my word, unlike you, man.
Fuck, dude. That's a low blow.
All right, Kimo, I know you want to just quickly give your thoughts on Brook versus Spence before you go get some rest.
The chocolate brandy.
Chocolate brandy. Hungry. Yeah, man. Speaking of good fights, it's I'm very pumped for this, Cam. I'm stoked. Now that it's getting close and I've watched these behind the ropes and shit. Oof, man. This is going to be a hell of a fight. I really, I can't even pick, man. I don't know.
Hey, bro,
in the past, I've said, like...
Give us your Spence impression.
No, I just sound like a country boy, man.
Come on, you have to do it. Do it.
Sounds like a bad impression of Ephraim.
Yeah. Oh, God. I'll work on it a bit more, Lim, and then...
All right, my bad.
Maybe if Spence wins, we can do a show in full country.
Put him on the spot.
Can I ask you, Kimbo, is this like the best fight of the year so far?
In terms of matchup, I think... Can't really think of a better matchup at the moment, to be honest. In terms of quality and like guys... Spence, I think he's in everybody's top 3, like, hyped fighter of every hardcore, you know, like the guy is such a talent, and we all see it, we all believe it, but we just got to see it come out, you know. And this is
hate Brook so much.
No, hold on, because he's gonna get his big test, you know. Errol Spence is gonna get his big fucking test in a stadium fight in the UK. That's fucking crazy if you think about it, right? I mean, that's exciting, man. And he's facing a very, very solid dude, you know, a guy that changed Golovkin's career, as we all know. And it's man.
Yeah, I hear you, man. But well, you do got to consider the fact that, I mean, Spence does have big time experience when he fought Bundu, you know, next to the boardwalk in New York. I mean, I think that's a pretty good litmus test.
I mean, he could get chin checked too easily by Brook as well. I have no clue what's going to happen, man. I really don't know. Spence could fucking hit Brook on his nose and cause all sorts of problems for him as well. How is that fucking eye? You know, like...
Howard Foster being the ref?
I don't know, man. I don't know about that. Let's hope that shit does not happen again.
If Spence gets buzzed, he could get stopped. Telling you.
That's always the risk you run, right? But if we know Spence like we think we know him, he's not going to come here for a decision. You know what I mean? He's going to go there for the fucking kill. And he should know that, right? Because he's not going to win a decision.
Yeah, man down.
Unless he drops Brook, and really hurts
multiple
him.
times. Yeah.
Yeah. He will not get a decision, and he has that temperament in the ring, man. I think he's gonna come for the fucking kill, go to the body, and Brook's just gonna do what he does, man. Just box a little bit on the back foot, straight 1-2s, strong jab, and let's see how he takes those body shots as well, man. Let's see how his stamina is at the weight. So many goddamn questions. I can't stop talking about this fight.
Because Spence, and the other thing is Spence is open. Spence is there to be hit, isn't he? It's not like people haven't landed on him before. So and Brook's got he's got a good right hand on him. He buzzed Porter up in that fight. People seem to forget that, but he straightened Porter's legs in the last section of that third round. And Porter's a solid guy. So I think it'd be really interesting to see if Brook can land a clean right hand on him. I think we'll know about Spence then as well, because I think Brook's a good test for him, very good test.
It's a great test, man.
Yeah.
Brook to me is I call me crazy, but he's to me he's the best welterweight at the weight division. I just think he's better. I think he's better than Thurman.
Better than Manny Pacquiao.
Well, I don't know. Let's just forget about Pacquiao in this equation. We're talking about only African American
fighters.
Nah, I think he is. I think he's Brook, for all intents and purposes, after the Sean Porter fight, he should have been the person that everybody was mandating Floyd and Manny to fight, and neither of them acknowledged his existence. Neither of them acknowledged his existence, just like the likes of Thurman, Garcia, etc., wouldn't acknowledge Spence's existence. So it's, in a way, this is kind of a fitting matchup.
Nobody wants a chocolate brownie. He's been eating.
Well, the thing is, he's such a difficult fighter to fight, and I get why they wouldn't really acknowledge him. You know what I mean? The risk versus reward ratio was all kinds of wrong for him.
But Naota, let's not forget he had a mandatory as well. He had the fight.
This is a mandatory.
Happy fish. That behind the ropes was awesome, man. When Kell was eating the fish.
Let's be honest though, it's about fucking time Brook fought a good fucking welterweight, isn't it? Really. 2 years pissing around.
The irony of this too is the thing is that people are always talking shit about the sanctioning bodies and which one is the best, and what the thing is, what I got to say, at the very least the IBF does enforce the rules and the mandatories, and if it wasn't for the IBF, I don't think that Spence would be getting a title shot for the next 5 years, because that's just what it is. It's nobody really even wanted to acknowledge the guy at all.
Yeah, but you have to have
so it's a minor miracle that this is even happening.
You have to have five final fucking eliminators.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing will be
because to me, I thought he was ready years ago. But go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Liam.
If Spence does beat Brook, will people be saying that Golovkin took something out of Brook, much like Brook's camp were trying to suggest the reason Danny Jacobs possibly won that fight was because of what Kell Brook did to him? I mean,
no, it doesn't go both ways, Leon.
It doesn't go both ways. Okay, sorry.
No.
My bad.
We know that this theory only works on Brook towards Golovkin. He changed his career for the best. Brook was brave, even though he got knocked the fuck out in 3 rounds.
So when that eye potentially disintegrates with a jab, it had nothing to do with Golovkin. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I bet it's healed up well, man, in that Fuerteventura era.
Yeah, and then Kell behind the
free drinks in here, boys.
That's what it'd be like, wouldn't it?
Kimo, I think Dan's going to be looking at flights from LA to Glasgow via Fuerteventura, so you can just get workout.
I must say I do like the gym, man. I think now there's a competition going on between the Fuerteventura Ingle Gym and Mac the Knife in Marbella. I think
unfortunately,
those two staples are fantastic.
Asian doesn't sell over there. I ain't going to work for him.
Cam, I think it's a new age of training, man. You go to a fucking touristic party place in Spain to get fit, and as you can see with Tyson Fury as well, it's just working out really well. I think this is the new thing, man. Maybe we should go down there.
That's the Canary Islands, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But to be fair to them, all the cyclists do training up there, because for the height. So all the cyclists go to the Canary Islands before tours because it's very, very high, so you can work on your stamina. So there is some science behind it.
I didn't see
exactly.
Brook biking though, man.
Yeah, but he was up in the mountains, boxing the mountains, you know, up there. Doing
The
something.
fucking beach boulevard, man. He's talking about.
Up there slashing people.
He does look in fantastic shape, so
He does
I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. Kimo, anything else before you go?
Nah, man, that's it. I just hope that that Brook is going to make the weight really healthy, and then we're going to get a fantastic fight. And like Lim said, it looks like it, man. He really, really looks in good shape, and he looks like he's very hungry, and he wants to keep that belt, man.
But you're picking Spence.
Oh yeah, I got to make a pick. Actually, I'm going to pick Brook. I've said this before. I think stylistically, if I had to look at styles, and there's so many other unknowns, but if I look at styles, I have to go with Brook, man. I think.
Why?
I haven't really. Why? I think he's just going to keep it rangy. I think that jab's going to be a problem for Spence, and I think that right hand is going to come straight down the pipe, man. I think it's going to be an issue.
But
Plus,
does
Brook
he have?
strong.
I know he's strong, but isn't Spence taller than Brook?
But he can tie him up as well on the inside, man. They're in the UK, you know what I mean? If Spence comes in his chest and wants to rip those body shots, and Brook ties him up, and the fucking ref lets it go on, which we know will happen, then what? You know?
No, but I think
I don't know. Maybe Spence is fucking roided to the guild and he's gonna fucking push him off. I don't know.
I just think he has a dog in him. I think Spence might be a bigger welterweight than Brook is. You know, they're both huge fucking welterweights. So, and the thing I love about Spence's, body attack is that he hides it so well behind his jab. You know, there's no like, you can't really time that shit. Well, I mean, like defensively speaking, it's really tough because it's just like the amount of leverage he gets is strictly from his hips. You know, like he doesn't show it very much. So,
Kimo, Beast Mode said in the
he's
chat,
a problem.
Kimo's trying to work the curse to his advantage. Boxing gods ain't going to buy it.
I am secretly hoping, obviously, for a violent KO of Kell Brook. But yeah, no, my pick is genuine. I do pick it based on style. But like I said, I would not be surprised if this goes fucking either way. If we get a crazy body shot knockout from Spence, or if some shit happens to Brooks. I really don't know. So. Man, I'm just pumped, dude. None of you guys are going, right? None of you got tickets or anything?
No, I didn't even try it. The stadium fights don't really interest me.
Same here.
Was it sold out in like 2.3 seconds or something like that?
2.2.
I bet you can still find a shitload on StubHub, man.
Yeah, there'll be loads available, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think
it just seems like that keeps happening for a lot of these big fights in the UK. It's like, it was sold out in 5.62 seconds.
But go to StubHub and there's thousands.
And then turns out there's like hundreds on StubHub.
Yeah.
It's like, get your tickets on StubHub.
Yeah. Also, just saying speaking to Josh just in the chat, Leon, I think this is gonna flop pay-per-view wise. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't watch Sky Sports News so much anymore. But are they pumping that?
I'm the same. I don't really watch it either these days.
Yeah, but I mean, they'll probably, if they're pumping it, it'll do half good. You know, for all of Hearn's evils, he can.
I don't know. It's
he
very
can sell
close.
snow to the Eskimos.
It's very close to the Vlad AJ fight, which had an additional cost on it to normal. I think this is a normal $16.95ish, but it's close. And I don't think the casuals take to Brook as much as they do. You know, as we mentioned in the past, like the heavyweight division has a certain aura about it, and they don't have it. But Kimo, thank you for your time.
Anytime, bruv. Anytime. Hopefully we get this.
How about next Monday? You down? For the
Actually,
post-show?
I will be down, man. We need to review the fight, so I'll probably hop on again for an hour.
You're down to bang, bro?
I'm down, bro. Let's fucking bang.
Give us an impression, please, before you leave. Can you just do one of Errol Spence?
What's the chocolate brownie?
Chocolate brownie. Nah, if Brook wins, I'll do the whole fucking show next week in Prince Nassim. How about that?
Excitement.
Sure.
Talking about the pride of Sheffield blood.
All right, thank you, Kimo.
Peace out, boys.
Latest Kimo.
Yeah, peace, Kimo.
All right, let's just get back to the reviews. We obviously talked about the Durell Katagi fight. And quickly just finish that card off. Bartholomew Relic Naoto. I watched it today. Very fun fight.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good fight. Close fight. I think the judges had it way too wide for Bartholomew. They were giving him like basically every benefit of the doubt possible, it seemed like. But yeah, I mean, it was a good fight. Relic started off well, started off fast, kind of was dragging Bartholomew into a bit of a tit for tat type fight, which I think suited him a lot more than it did Bartholomew. But I think once he started to kind of gas out in the mid to late rounds, Bartholomew took over, especially with the body shots. So I think it was like a combination of him getting a bit winded, needed to catch a second wind towards the later rounds, as well as Bartholomew just cracking that body and, taking even more out of him. And, it was pretty much up for grabs in the last round. And I wound up scoring it a draw. So, I mean, I was pretty much fine with either guy winning. So, I mean, the decision didn't necessarily bother me in so much as the margin that the judges had it, because it made it look like Relic basically needed to beat the living crap out of Bartholomew every round in order to actually get it, which I think is bullshit. I mean, I think, Relic has kind of ostensibly been screwed twice now, really, which is unfortunate. And he's a difficult guy, so it's going to be real tough for him to kind of rebound from it, because I think there's not going to be too many fighters really anxious to fight somebody like him.
Leon, did you catch this?
Yeah, I did catch it. It was really good, and yeah, I think he's been jobbed, like maybe not. I think he got the result was definitely wrong in the Burns fight, and I'm like Nelta. I think the fight was close this time round, but I think he got jobbed in the cards again. Like, they were bad, terrible, terrible cards, and there's been a few this weekend. So I just feel like he's really unfortunate, because he might just very quickly become a gatekeeper, where really he's he should be in line. He's fringe belt level, not just a gatekeeper, but you start getting those L's, it's difficult to get your career back on track, isn't it? Without being fed to people.
Also, like, who's going to want to fight him? Because it's like, he's going to give you a tough-ass fight. So he's only going to get fights where people are, like, either, looking for a step up, or no one's going to give him a mandatory shot at any titles. But I really enjoyed the fight. I watched it today. I didn't score it just because I kind of knew the results, and I knew a lot of people thought that he won it. But just from going off how the fight went, I thought Relic nicked it. I thought his pressure, his output, like his gas tank was amazing. I think there were a handful of rounds where he threw over 100 punches, the commentators were saying, which is pretty amazing, because normally those type of punch stats, you get him a lot lower weight. And I definitely agree with Naota. He did slow down, and there were a lot of low blows from Bartholomew, but when he started to turn those hooks that were going low into uppercuts, and like there were a few that really landed in the solar plexus, one actually made him take a knee, and a few of the others really hurt him as well. That's when the kind of tide turned. But I thought it was maybe a bit too late, and I thought he had nicked the fight before that point. But I kind of feel bad for him, because I think when he fought Burns, I had him nicking that fight, and the guy's travelling, he's the underdog, and it's a shame, man, because he put up a really good performance, and I thought he could have, maybe nicked it.
I think Bartholomew, you got to give him some credit. I think he did well to get back into the fight, to make it close. But I think I had it a draw, but he did very well to turn that tide. Yeah, it didn't look like
early on the pressure was.
I think Relic might be kicking himself a little bit, but I mean, it's difficult, because you look at those scorecards for him and he's thinking, well, what could I have done to win the fight? So it must feel quite disheartening. Yeah,
and there was that time where Bartholomew was buzzed, and then I think the ref classed one of the barrages as the ropes holding him up, and it's counted as a knockdown. And yeah, it was a good fight to watch, man.
But you'd have to knock him down 6 or 7 times to get a draw, and almost, it's fucking mad.
Yeah,
that's the way it seemed.
Moving on, the main on that card was the return of Gary Russell after a long layout against Oscar Escandon, and we were talking about this fight last week, Neota, and another fun fight, but I don't know. Gary Russell, you fight so frequently, infrequently, that you forget how good he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good. I actually thought Escandon was giving him a lot of hell in there, though, too. I think I had Russell up 1 point going into that round where he finally stopped him. And I actually didn't like this stoppage really either because I thought he was hurt worse. I think, what was it, in the third round?
Yeah, he was.
Then I thought he was hurt worse in the third round than he was in the seventh. And he had come back after the third, I thought, to win the fourth and the fifth. So, I mean, to me, he still had plenty of fight left in him. And, I think he was kind of giving Russell a lot of trouble with the body work, as well as the fact that he's such a good inside fighter, whereas usually that's Russell's wheelhouse. He's not used to somebody being able to fight with him and keep up with him on the inside like that. And, in spite of that, though, I was saying that I felt like Russell had to shock Escandon early, because I thought if it was going to be more of a distance fight, I was giving the edge to Escandon. If Russell was able to shock him early, I would give Russell the edge. And he was able to shock him early. Escandon kind of looked like he was going to be able to potentially fight through that. But the hand speed that Russell had, and just the amount of combinations he was able to throw at all angles up to Escandon's chin it was brilliant stuff. Really, really brilliant stuff. I think he's definitely improved over the last couple of years as they've finally had him fighting pretty good opposition in spite of the fact that he has been fighting infrequently. For what it's worth, I mean, Escandon's been fighting pretty infrequently too. It's like he had one fight in 2015 and one in 2016. So I mean, it's not like he's been particularly active either. And unfortunately for him, I think he's another one of these guys that's on the wrong side of the risk versus reward ratio generally. But I mean, props to Russell for getting the win, even though I didn't really like the stoppage. I thought Escandon could have continued, and I thought we kind of got robbed of what could have been like a potential like great fight, like that could have been turned out to be fight of the year level stuff. But I mean, as it stands now, Gary Russell, he likes to talk in the post-fight interviews and stuff, talking about Lomachenko needs to see you. No, he doesn't. And this is coming from somebody that's extremely critical of Vasyl Lomachenko. Everybody knows that. I'm like notorious for that.
Well, but you don't like Lomachenko?
Vasyl Lomachenko doesn't need to has absolutely zero mandate to have a rematch with Russell unless Russell wants to go up to 130 and start clearing out potential contenders for him.
Exactly. Hunt your man.
Exactly.
Leon, did you catch this?
Yeah, I did. I caught it. I got home, Cam, fired up the little gadget, and had a lovely Crystal HD stream. It was a thing of beauty. And yeah, Russell looked really good, didn't he? He's sitting down on his punches a lot more, isn't he? It seems to me, or he's throwing with more power, more intent. But I did see, this kind of, he does have lightning quick hands, and there's no doubt in that. But I think sometimes that first shot he throws is quite telegraphed. Like he'll load up on it and he'll kind of step back and he'll throw a big punch. And then it's that next shot that's really, really quick is when you see the speed. But I think some fighters might be able to work him out because I think he does telegraph that first punch a bit. Did anyone else notice that, or is that just me?
No, he does. And incidentally, I think that's a big part of, if you go back to the Lomachenko fight, how Lomachenko was able to beat him because he was mobile enough to avoid that first shot and be able to counter over it a lot of the times. But I mean, with Escandon, I don't necessarily think he had that much enough distance, let's say, to be able to do that. He was a shorter man with a shorter reach, and significantly. So he was kind of having to just gut it out, I think, on the inside regardless. But yeah, that's definitely a liability for Russell going forward if he is happening to potentially unify against some of the other champions. I think
with quicker hands,
some of these other guys could definitely catch him. I still think him versus Jojo Diaz. A lot of people give Diaz shit for not necessarily having the biggest punch, but I think he's a hell of a lot more accurate than people give him credit for. And I think that's actually a fairly interesting fight for Russell. They were Olympic teammates after all too, so they definitely know each other.
I think Russell ices him.
But I mean, even aside from that, I think Santa Cruz and Valdez are extremely interesting fights too. Jorge Lara we'll get to later, I think, is an absolute monster for anybody in the division, and I don't think I'm going to pick against him against anybody in the division. But hopefully Russell gets more active again and is fighting these top level guys that we're talking about.
Yeah, because he's in the fight. He's in
best division. One of the best divisions.
He's in a good division where he can win. He can win fights against good guys.
It's a really packed division too.
And there's a lot of them on his side of the street. There are a lot of them with Heyman, so there's no reason for
no excuse.
Most of them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
Selby, Frampton,
Mares, Santa Cruz,
Leo Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no reason, or maybe because of what the other fighter's doing, but he should be fighting one of those guys next.
Yeah.
But he won't. I don't think. For some reason, they are doing a weird job of his career. You know, I don't blame him particularly. I think they're just not on it with him.
Yeah, I know this fight did get pushed back because it was supposed to be earlier on in the year, so that didn't help. But my thoughts, I kind of disagree with you, Nota. I thought it was a bit easy for Russell. I know there were the odd round when he was kind of standing in the pocket and trading, and you know, Escandon had a bit of success, but even in the pocket, I thought that Russell was bossing it. You know, the uppercuts were working a treat, the right hook. Only thing maybe he's missing just to kind of step across, looking for an angle and then shoot. He kind of stands there quite, you know, stable and in his place. He doesn't move about a lot. That's the only negative. Positive wise, there's so many. The hand speed, I think the power's decent. Maybe it could use a bit more head movement. But yeah, I was really impressed with his performance. I was watching that and I'm really enjoying it. It's just the way he puts his punches together, even when he, I say it when Linares, you know, counters in combinations. Russell was doing the same thing, and his accuracy was really good. He was catching Escandon with it almost every shot, and it was just really enjoyable to watch. And I maybe slightly agree with you. The stoppage was a bit premature. I think Harvey Doc just jumped in a bit too early. It almost seems like Escandon was under barrage, and he thought, I'll just take a knee here and, you know, gather myself again.
Yeah.
And, you know, Harvey Doc just thought, nah, I'm stopping it. But up until that point, he did start to take a bit of a beating, especially with the uppercuts, man. A lot of flush shots were landing, so maybe Harvey Doc perhaps did the right thing. I just thought maybe give him another round or so. But really a fun fight to watch, even though it was a bit one-sided for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I thought
was a
that
good card, that
had stunned Russell a couple of times to the body, so that's a big part of what played into me feeling like the fight was closer than you did.
Your point, Leon, though, that's Showtime having a good year. Like, obviously, Davis and Walsh was on that. I think they're showing that. Neilton, did they show that at the start before the other fights?
No, my bad. They had Davis and Walsh at the very beginning. Then they literally cut right into Relic versus Bartholomew. Like, literally right in. Like, as soon as the Davis-Walsh fight was over, I'd say there wasn't, like, more than 10 minutes before Bartholomew and Relic were already in the ring and they were fighting.
Yeah, and then in January they had the Badu Jack and DeGale, and then Pedraza versus Davis. That was a great card, and that's one thing I like about Showtime. They had
Frampton, didn't they, as well?
Yeah, they put pressure on PBC,
Frampton,
so
Leo rematch.
They're not paying for these shitty fights. They're only paying for the good quality ones, and it's good to see. Obviously, but did they also have Thurman versus Garcia? But that was on CBS, wasn't it?
CBS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, it was Showtime Championship Boxing on presented by CBS or whatever.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, man, that was a good year.
I mean, yeah.
The only shit one.
They're having the best year, definitely.
Porter versus Berto wasn't that good, but also they picked up Joshua versus Klitschko for the people in the States. So yeah, Showtime doing well this year. All right, should we move on to the other card, which I don't think me and Leon actually we saw. I saw the HBO card.
Yeah, I saw the HBO card. We can do that quickly, and then let Nelta burn.
Crawford versus Diaz. It's a shame, man, because I'm high on Diaz, but Crawford's that good that he made him look like a bum. Like, he basically just schooled him, and Diaz didn't have any real success in the whole fight. He was trying to get close. He was kind of like jumping in with hooks, and his eyes puffed up quite early in the fight. And yeah, it was easy work for Crawford, man. I felt bad, man, because like I said, Diaz, I thought he beat Peterson. He had that really good performance against Sammy Vasquez, and yeah, it's just a shame that it kind of shows levels, man. Like, you can be really good, but there's always one guy that's just a bit better, man, in every department. And yeah, Crawford just basically schooled him.
There's not much to say, really, is there? Like, he just did his thing, and
even like humiliated him at times.
Some of the antics were a bit just stupid, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I thought,
like tapping him on
a bit silly.
the head and all that stuff.
And I'm never a fan of when a fighter just kind of stands off and just stands there, like, oh, I want you to lead because I'm not willing to lead myself. You know what I mean? Go in there, lead. Fuck it. If the guy's unwilling to throw at you, you throw at him. You know, it's not like you don't have the reach advantage.
It's true.
But I mean, that said, I mean, other than that, I mean, there's really not very much you could criticize with Crawford, at least in the performance. I mean, Diaz was able to land a couple of those hooks occasionally, but I mean, he lacked the speed to completely get him off properly in time, and lacked the reach to be able to reach Crawford with them with any real consistency. Because Crawford is a bit leaky on the defensive side, but it's still going to take a really good fighter to actually truly expose that.
He did get caught with a few kind of wild hooks, and he took them well.
Yeah, that's the thing. He has a good chin too. So I mean, even if you do clip him, I mean, you still got to deal with him. You still got to deal with the animal in there. And yeah, I mean, he made Diaz look like like nothing basically. Diaz was a little bit of a boogie man there for a second as well, and he might be another guy. It's becoming, I guess, like a cliche for me in this particular show though. But like another guy like Escandon or a Relic, where I mean the risk versus reward for him is just all wrong. So it's going to be real tough for him to get fights, which is really unfortunate considering how great of an amateur he was for one, and then how solid of a pro he is for secondarily. But yeah, Crawford, he's definitely showing and proving. Unfortunately for Crawford, I think his kind of rise, his ascension up the ranks, even like the pound for pound ranks and so on and so forth, has been at a time where his divisions were relatively shallow. It's like when he was at lightweight, it's like lightweight had already kind of been cleared out. A lot of the guys had moved up to 140, and now that he's at 140, it seems like most of the top names that were at 140 are now at welterweight. And that was almost even including Diaz. I mean, I wasn't even sure if Diaz was going to be able to make the weight healthy. Who knows? Maybe he necessarily didn't even make the weight healthy. But I mean, he looked like he was pretty solid in there. He looked like he was ready to roll. But the only guy out there really for him at 140, I think, is Julius Ndongo. And even then, I favor Crawford to win that fight because I haven't necessarily seen the inside game from Ndongo. And I think that Crawford could probably get him there. Even though I think Ndongo could potentially outbox from the outside. It's an intriguing fight, but one that I still favor Crawford in. I'm not sure if Crawford's the true test of what he's all about is going to come until he moves up to welterweight.
So in the UK, we had Christina Puncher and Colonel Bob on the comms, and basically they work for Top Rank, and it's a bit shit, man, because they never really say anything negative. It's always praise, and they're saying, after Ndongo, looking to move up to 47. But who the fuck's at 47 for Bob? Bob hasn't got anyone at 47. He's friends with Timothy Bradley, so it's unlikely that fight's going to happen. Everyone else decent.
They won't fight each other.
Yeah, the Pacquiao looks like he's going to, sidestep that fight. And everyone else is really over at Heyman, unless, Brook or something like that. So he is in a bit of, a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, I mean, I could potentially see him. I guess his debut at 147 would probably be something like Jesse Vargas. But I mean, beyond anything like that, yeah, they're going to have to do some cross promotion deals. They got to do it. It's pretty much non-negotiable. They
like Chemo said, he's got to take control.
Yeah,
and his management has got to take control.
For Crawford's credit, to Crawford's credit, I mean, very rarely do you ever hear this from a fighter, but he called out Keith Thurman. He called out a rival promoter's fighter. And he said that, hey, I'll fight Keith Thurman. He said that he'd fight Ndongo. The fight he really wants is Pacquiao, of course. But, he mentioned Keith Thurman's name as well, because I think Thurman, he has some heat and some hype behind him. And, I definitely think Crawford would take that fight so long as Uncle Bobby is willing to let him come out and play.
Just a quick one for you, Neil. The last few fights, he seems to either fight the majority in southpaw or just the whole fight in southpaw. Do you think he's just more comfortable in that stance, or do you think it's tactically where he thinks the southpaw stance will be better against that opponent?
I think it tends to be a little bit more tactical. I think he feels like he could probably get the power off better, and he'll be able to land cleaner from that stance because they're not expecting the punches to come from that angle. There's a lot of guys that are really flummoxed by the southpaw stance. But the thing is, I think his defense is actually worse as a southpaw. So, I mean, that could still be a liability against, the wrong type of opponent. But, against a lot of these other guys, it works like a charm.
Leon, good move by Joel Diaz pulling his guy out. I thought that was good.
Yeah, he had to do it because he was getting nowhere, was he?
Yeah, he was getting beat up, and I've criticised Crawford before where he kind of plays with his feet a bit, but he did turn up the screw a bit and started really going at Diaz, landing combinations and all that. So the fact that he shown that spite to try and get him out, that was good. But those little tappy-tappies and standing off and I know Bunts and the team at Box Nation was really criticising that, but I don't. If your level's above a guy,
tapping the head was a bit much. I saw.
Yeah, if your level's above him and you're beating the guy up, then kind of show some respect. But yeah, that's me done for that fight. Unless you guys got anything to add.
Now, if he taps Keith Thurman's head, that's a different story. That's a top guy, a different way.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When you do that against,
if you're clowning him, man.
Exactly. When you're doing that at the highest level, then it's good and it's funny. It's like Roy Jones. If you're doing it against another top guy, then all good. If you're doing it to a guy who you're easily beating and levels above, then it's unnecessary,
man.
Yeah. Undercard wise, we had Raimundo Sugar Ray Beltran against Jonathan Marciello. Pretty quick, fun while it lasted.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was looking like it might turn out to be a nice little fight, and it kind of was. It kind of was a nice little fight, with the definite emphasis on little. But yeah, man, I kind of knew that this was coming. I felt like Beltran was going to score the knockout. I think I said it last week that I thought Marcelo could shock him with the speed early, but Beltran's eventually going to catch up to him and KO him. That's pretty much what happened. It happened even faster than I thought it was going to happen. Marcelo, I think, was shocking him early with the speed. He's extremely quick. He's like a mini Sergio Martinez, but I never got the fight back when he was kicking ass on Friday Night Fights. I never got that fight out of my mind when he fought Rustam Nugaev. And Nugaev just kind of margaritoed him. He just kind of slowly walked him down. He was taking a lot of the early shots. Marcelo was winning up on the cards, and then he just kind of fell apart, got chin checked, and it was over. And Beltran, you could tell that was Beltran's idea too. He was looking for that one shot, that one clean shot. He almost kind of landed it at the end of the first round. I mean, which was kind of funny because the ref called a knockdown from a head clash, and then he called the time
actual
to
knockdown, a slip.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, man, the way that Beltran knocked Marcelo out was just brutal. Just brutal. That might be the knockout of the year. I mean, if it wasn't for it being on like a slightly lower level than Garcia versus Latichini, but just for pure violence factor, that was absolutely nasty. His head bounced off the canvas twice.
Yeah.
That should remind me of in Street Fighter 2, it's when you knock somebody out and they bounce off the ground 3 times. That's what it reminded me of. Yeah, just brutal, man. That left hook is ugly. That crowd was so hyped too. I guess there was a lot of mad people from Peru there, and they shut up in a hurry when Beltran starched them.
What are you gonna say, Leo?
I was gonna say you need that between that and the Pigford knockout for this weekend, but they were both brutal, weren't they?
Well,
they both looked horrible.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Benavidez a minute while Neota is, because Leon and I couldn't find the fight anywhere. But this weekend could have a top 3 fucking knockouts of the weekend. Never mind knockouts of the year. It was pretty brutal weekend.
Yeah.
But Leon, did you manage to catch this fight then?
I saw the highlights that Nell sent me. Because I didn't have time to watch it on the
Box
on the telly, so I saw a little highlight thing. And the KO was brutal, and then the T-shirt, the Beltran T-shirt that looked like the Supreme logo was pretty good as well.
Yeah, man, he's getting some copyright infringement for that, I think.
Oh yeah, I would be all over that.
But yeah. Just in that second round, Marciello was having really good success. That Beltran was in the ropes and he was kind of catching him in combinations, and then just that check left hook, man. I think initially Marciello was going to throw a right hand, and he decided to throw a left hook, and just his hand was so low, he just caught that left hook flush on the face, man. And yeah, the way his head bounced off the canvas, I think that was the biggest concern. But he was down for a while, and I think they stretched him off. But we hope he recovers well. But pretty intense knockout from Raimundo. But Leon, the panel in the studio were saying that since Ray had that ban from using illegal substances, that he's had a couple continuous knockout, so they were a bit suspect.
4 in a row. 4 in a row. And he got that one that he got banned for was another knockout too, another vicious one just like this.
I know. What do you think, Leon? Do you think he's juicing or what?
I think that beaker might have melted out the bottom before he gets out to the tester.
Yeah, I
don't know, man.
If I was in any sort of camp with any fighter that was potentially fighting Beltran, you got to be doing some random testing on him, some like severe random testing on him. I mean, that's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to accuse him of anything. Obviously, he's at the very least been passing the post-fight drug test that they always do, which is standard.
I think
status quo.
I think the testers have to live with him for like 6 months and just watch him like a hawk.
Seriously.
I'm done on that fight unless you guys got anything to add. So what does that make Beltran? Does he somehow mandatory to some type of title? Is it Robert Easter RBF?
Yeah, he's the mandatory for Easter Shafikov one.
Plus he got his green card as well.
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, it wasn't a guarantee. I think they were saying that like this is what would kind of put him over the top, and I'm sure that it probably would. Now that he's getting another title shot and everything. But just to speak real quick though, it's really interesting that Beltran I think almost kind of goes to show like the quality of Crawford too. Because I mean, since that loss, I mean he's been just on such a tear. And
what he did to Burns,
close to as well as what he did to Burns. He just completely broke the man's face, completely like destroyed the guy, and got totally robbed. But I mean, Beltran is a quality fighter, and I think he's actually really interesting against either Easter or Shafikov. I think I've been saying it for a while now. I think I favor Shafikov to win that fight, but I mean it's in Ohio, so he's definitely going to have to go above and beyond. But I think Beltran's very much alive against either of them.
I bet Trump was buzzing, wasn't he? Like immigrants fighting for green cards. That must have been his fight of the year, man. He's been all over that shit, man.
Yeah, I think Beltran gives any other titleist a run for the money, man. Like he'll give them all a tough fight. Whether he wins against most of them, I would doubt it, but they would know at the end of the night that they had a tough fight.
Yes, I agree with that.
Even at his age,
even Mikey Cam.
For a few rounds, I think he'd give Mikey trouble.
There's Mikey news. There's Mikey news knocking about anyway. We'll come to that in a second.
Yeah, no, that's a good.
I think Mikey moves too well for him.
Yeah, because we were saying the same shit about that Zatichinen.
I wasn't.
Right, that it was going to.
Mikey smashes him to bits.
I wasn't.
Yeah,
I was saying it was easy work.
No, but Ray is.
Salem.
No, just Ray is. He's a good guy, man. And I got your joke there, Cam. Nobody laughed at it, but I did. I chuckled inside.
Yeah, but we'll get to your boy that got iced in Japan anyway. It was all because of the interview.
You guys still haven't touched that fucking card?
No. Naota needs half. Naota's gonna. Me and Leon are gonna go for a coffee break. Naota's just gonna talk for half an hour about the Japanese fights.
Nah, man, I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna get some coffee as well, man. Shit, that's the reason why I jumped in right now. It's been an hour and 44 minutes, for Christ's sake. I want to talk about the chocolate brownie.
There was a lot of boxing to discuss, bro. Just because you're a casual, we have to tailor it to everybody.
Yeah, like 12 World Championship fights this weekend, man.
I apologize. Carry on, guys. I don't want to, impede your guys' progress.
Yeah, we're just quickly talking about Mikey. Leon, get to that later on when we talk about the fight that he might be matching up against.
Yeah, I just got a message about it from Mike, yeah. Just saw a little StubHub.
I'm not 100% sure, but is it Broner that everyone's talking about?
That's Fight Hyper saying Broner.
All right.
In the late summer.
We'll get to that in a bit. Let's just finish this card. Shakur Stevenson, not really much to say. I thought the stoppage was pretty poor. He kind of got bundled down. Dude landed on his face a bit, got up, and I think it was just a lack of balance when he was trying to get up. He kind of stumbled backwards, and the ref just waved it off. But I almost think they were kind of balancing out how his first fight went, and he kind of had a pretty tough debut, even though he looked good. So they thought, okay, we'll give him an easy shot on a knockout in his second fight.
Confidence builder.
Yeah, get that KO ratio up high if it slips away later, Yeah. But one thing I did notice, the thing I can't stand, and I think refs should stop it, is when someone holds their jab out, their hand out that long, just in someone's face.
He does a lot of stiff arming, but you know why though? He's very left-handed. Like he'd put the right hand out and then throw two lefts.
Does nothing with the right hand, does he?
He's a very left-handed southpaw. Yeah, not much from the right hand.
I just don't. I think the ref should be stepping in because.
Well, it is illegal. It is illegal to stiff arm.
Yeah. He was doing it constantly.
Yeah, he was doing it in his debut fight as well, and you didn't really get warned about it.
Yeah, top ranked fighter, man. It's gonna you're probably gonna see a lot of that without very much warning. So.
But the problem is, if he needs to sharpen that hand, because if you go in, the higher you get, people are going to take advantage of that weak hand.
Yeah, you need to have at the very least
people will be hooking him to death.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I mean,
not much to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's not much to say at all. I mean, because he got the guy out of there. He did what he was supposed to do. This guy wasn't on that level.
All right, let's move on. Other good card that we were looking forward to, and.
Well, let me mention the other two Olympians on the undercard too, with Stevenson, Fazlidin Gabnazarov, the Olympic gold medalist at 142 last year. He's campaigning like as a lightweight / light welterweight. Got a good win, decision win, dominated all 8 rounds, and I think he could be a really interesting player at 135 or 140 fairly soon. I think they're probably going to move him pretty quickly. And then Teofimo Lopez. Moving really fast. He's 5-0 now with all knockouts. And this was another knockout of the year candidate. Actually, and if I can find some tape, I'll have to send it to you guys against Ronald Rivas. Hit him with a left hook and just crumbled him. Like Rivas's arm flew up over his head. It's like he was out, almost asleep. I don't know if you've ever seen somebody asleep, where they have their arm over their face, over their eyes to try and block out the light or anything.
Yeah.
And that's how he got knocked out, with his arm flung over his face. And Lopez is just an absolute monster, man. I honestly, considering, even though I thought he did get robbed in the Olympics. What I had seen there, I wouldn't have expected him to be this explosive as a pro, especially at only 19 years old. I mean, he's really good. He's really good. He might be really the kind of dark horse gem of all the 2016 Olympians.
Shit, Neo's is high on him, so I'm jumping on the wagon early.
He's a good fighter, man.
No,
Lim is high on him too. He knows what I'm talking about.
No worries. Anything else on that card, Nicky?
No, that was pretty much what I wanted to speak on.
Okay, usually I do get hold of every fight of the weekend, but this one was impossible to find. All my usual outlets couldn't find Benavidez versus Porky Medina. Managed to obviously catch the highlights of the knockout on YouTube, but the full fight itself, nowhere to be seen, as well as the Jorge Lara Mario Briones fight. So I think Leon's in the same boat, so we hand it over to you, Nicky.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate, man, because what a fight. What a fucking fight, man. This was the fight of the weekend. Or one of them at the very least, if not the fight. But I mean, Benavidez Medina was the shit. It was such a good fight. Medina, we know what to expect from Medina. He comes at you. He's trying to crush your body, crush the head afterwards, and just be an absolute problem. He comes from that Maidana, that Jose Luis Castillo style of press you and hit you and just beat you up, beat you down, like that clubbing style. Benavidez, similar to his brother, I mean, there are some times where he can't get caught up on the ropes, and there was moments here in this fight where Medina was able to catch him up on the ropes. Early on, I thought they were kind of trading rounds back and forth. But the difference between David and Jose Benavidez is that David is really good at being able to he'll get caught up on the ropes for a couple of seconds, but he'll also be kind of leaning back, moving to the side, moving his head and everything, and defending really well while he's up on the ropes. And he'll only be on there for a few seconds while his opponent's kind of punching himself out, almost like a rope-a-dope type deal. And then he'll sidestep and then just rattle off a combination of his own. And everything, even though it's a fast-handed combination, everything is coming with power. He's one of those guys that, he's not just shoe shining and it's a shoe shine, it's a bunch of slaps. He's shoe shining and everything is hitting you fucking hard. And that's pretty much what happened throughout the entire fight with Medina. And it's kind of funny because, Medina has always shown himself to have a really solid chin. But Benavidez, it seemed like he found just really, really good work landing to the body. And, that's pretty much what told the tale of the end of the fight when in the 6th round he managed to drop Medina with a body shot. The 7th round he dropped him with another body shot. And then in the 8th round, finally, he hit him a couple of times to the body. There was one time he hit him with a body shot, Medina, completely bent, like almost bent over, almost went down to take a knee, but he stayed up and he fought right back. And then Benavidez finally finished Medina with, it was a 3-punch combo to the body, and then Medina's arms kind of dropped, and then Benavidez ratcheted off like a 7-punch combo to the head. And Benavidez just flew back, almost fell completely out of the ring, and just the way that he fell, the ref was like, all right, you're done. It's over. And he completely waved it off. And it was just a great fight. I gave Medina a couple of rounds. I gave him the second and the third. But like it's like once Benavidez truly got into that rhythm, started working that body, it was all Benavidez after that. And I mean, for him to pretty much go from prospect to possibly like the best, I don't think there's anybody at super middleweight that's going to beat him. I don't think there's anybody at that weight class that's going to beat him right now. That was really impressive. I mean, I had said it with Medina and DeGale that I thought Medina beat DeGale. But I mean, even if you want to argue it was close either way, whatever, Benavidez beat the shit out of Medina and he knocked him out. And for being just 20 years old, 18 wins, 17 by knockout, this guy is an absolute problem, and I don't see anybody beating him at middleweight, or anybody at super middleweight rather, or anybody at middleweight moving up. If Jacobs moves up, he's losing. If Golovkin moves up, he's losing. If Canelo moves up, he's losing. Benavidez is beating everybody, and he's got the skills all the way around. He's really damn good.
What do you see next?
Well, this was a WBC eliminator, so depending on what happens with Anthony Durell and his uncle, since their uncle helps train them, I'm not sure if he's the head trainer or what's going on with that, because it's supposed to be Callum Smith versus Anthony Durell for the vacant WBC title that Jack vacated. If something happens to Durell, it might wind up being Benavidez versus Callum Smith for the vacant WBC belt. Otherwise he'll be the mandatory for the winner of Smith versus Durell.
Battle of the left hooks to the body, that would be.
Yeah.
I think from seeing David in the past, I think Benavidez ices Smith, to be honest.
That minute and a half highlights that you sent me was one of the best minute and a half highlights I've seen in a long time. He looked really, it was, the action looked fantastic. I really want to see the fight. But he looks like he's got very quick hands for a guy that big.
Very heavy-handed as well, he looks.
Yeah, but quick like that. Those finishing combos were lightning quick. I
thought. To mention Street Fighter before. That was like an E-Honda underhand slap. Is that?
Yeah, big time, man. It's like that Sugar Ray Leonard-esque like hand speed and everything. And the thing is, he has the power behind it too, and he has the power to the body. He has a solid defense. Even though like I said, he get caught up on the ropes a little bit. That could be a problem against some offensive fighters. But I mean, the thing is that the way I see it is that I don't think there's really anybody more offensively gifted at super middleweight at the moment than Medina was. So, everybody else is gonna, I guess, try to finesse him. But I don't even think that's gonna be really possible.
And we're not. And there's nothing to say that Medina has fallen off in any way since the fight he had with DeGale. No. Then it's a fantastic win because he gave DeGale hell.
Yeah, he did. I mean, like I said, I thought he beat him every bit as much as Jack did. He actually had a fight between the DeGale fight and this one. He fought Ramon Olivas. It was kind of like a stay busy fight, but I mean, he blasted the guy out in 2 rounds. To fight a journeyman and blasted him the way that you do to journeyman. So
to do that at 20, doing that at 20 is serious. He's put down a serious marker, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely it's been a minute since I've seen somebody like step up that quick to that high a level that early and that young. I mean, like I guess maybe like the only other guys that you could maybe compare to that would be Davis somewhat, but I don't even think that Davis has even stepped up to the Medina level yet. And then like I guess you might say a couple of the fighters from Japan like Tanaka or Inoue, but still, I wouldn't even necessarily put them that high. I think that's how good this one was for Benavidez.
And is he Heyman?
Yeah.
So who's he got there? I mean, I guess the Callum Smith. There's a lot of European fighters, so they're easy enough to make, aren't they?
Yeah. The only guy that he's really missing out on is Gilberto Ramirez with Top Rank, and I wouldn't imagine that either side would be necessarily keen to make that fight simply because Ramirez. Ramirez is awkward, and he'd probably make Benavidez look bad in spots, even though I'd still favor Benavidez to beat him. And I don't think that Arum is going to risk Ramirez losing to somebody that's.
But could they not build that up into something though?
Potentially. I mean, considering
like
the fact
how
that
Bob likes to work.
Yeah, Mexican versus Mexican American,
Exactly.
That whole rivalry, all that stuff. Ramirez is the first Mexican super middleweight champ, and so yeah, there's plenty to promote there. There's definitely plenty there. I'd imagine if they were to do some unifications and it was like for all the belts, I think then it would be possible. But until then, I wouldn't necessarily see it happening.
Yeah.
And the Jorge Lara fight, Naruto?
Yeah, Lara versus Briones. I mean, Lara is like one of my new favorite fighters. I was even saying before the Montiel fight, I was like one of the very few people that knew about Lara, like knew what he was about, and picked him to knock out Montiel, and knock out Montiel he did. And here against Briones, I mean, since that Montiel fight, I think he's been heavily avoided by anybody and everybody that's worth a damn at featherweight. And here against Briones, I mean, he showed exactly why, because he didn't waste any time in just viciously attacking and completely destroying him. He dropped him in the second round. Briones landed a couple of good shots here and there, a couple of good body shots, but Lara's just so relentless. He ate him and came right back and just hooked him to death. Hit him with right hooks, left hands, right hooks. And Briones was caught up on the ropes, was getting hit with hooks even as the ref was trying to stop the fight, almost like a James Kirkland. That's what Lara reminds me of. He's like a James Kirkland type fighter, but I think he's even better than Kirkland was. Just in the way that he's able to kind of still be defensively fairly sound as he's getting off just that vicious attack. He's like a pit bull. He's the type of fighter that I just love to watch. He's just an absolute animal. As soon as that bell goes ding, he's coming for your fucking throat, and he's trying to tear it out. And I mean, kind of similar to with Benavidez, I'm not sure if there's anybody that would pick over him at featherweight. I mean, I think if anything, if you were to take him some rounds, maybe he'd slow down a bit. But the only guy that I've ever seen even fight on even level, on equal terms with Lara, was Jesus Rojas, who, I mean, we saw him a couple of weeks ago knock out, just completely destroy Abraham Lopez, who himself was one of Golden Boy's top featherweight prospects. So, I mean, Rojas and Lara are two guys that are just not to be messed with. And Lara is he's a serious problem. He's a serious problem. And the thing is, he's not just like a plodding power puncher. He's fast. He's very quick on his feet, and he has very, very quick hands. So it's not like a case of like, okay, this is just a plodding slugger. You can stick and move against him. No, if you're fighting Lara, you're not in a boxing match. You're in a fight. You're in a fight. You're in a fight for your fucking life, and so you better be ready for it.
Is it a case where like everyone's going to try and avoid him unless he's mandatory?
I think so.
Is he Heyman as well?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so there's no excuse again, really, other than he looks like a devastating puncher.
Other than ducking.
Yeah, other than ducking, there's no... Because I only saw the highlights, but he was rocking that guy's head all over the place.
Yeah.
And he seemed to close the distance very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I said about Spence earlier. Like, even though Spence is a Heyman fighter, I mean, it's not like the other Heyman fighters were looking to be fighting him, So unless he takes a specific liking to you, it seems like you're not necessarily going to get that shot.
Just going back to Heyman featherweights, because I forgot to mention earlier in Gary Russell's post-fight, the way he was kind of ducking Lomachenko, I was like, oh, I'd rather have that rematch during, near the end of my career. It's like, well, why do you mention him in interviews that you want to fight him next and stuff, and then when you're on the spot in a televised post-fight interview that you're saying, oh, I don't want to fight him yet. I'll fight him when I'm done, when I'm ready to take another L. It's a bit of a bitch comment that I thought.
But look,
that's actually weird. That actually is kind of weird, because he even said that he'd like to fight Lomachenko. Yeah, he said, oh, Lomachenko got to see me in the post-fight interview, and then it's like almost like he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. He said, yeah, he's got to see me, but I want that to be one of the final fights of my career.
But look, sorry, quickly. Even if he doesn't move up straight away, if he was to fight Frampton and then all those good guys at featherweight, he could then move up and go, look, I beat all those guys. Now fight me.
Exactly.
Like that would be the only problem. I would accept that. I would accept that.
Yeah. No, as would I. The only problem that I see with that is I think by that time Lomachenko might be moving up to lightweight himself.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they're
and Russell can't go out there.
They're insisting on low-balling Corrales and Burchelt, so I'm not sure if those fights are ever going to happen. But I mean, if Russell was to To me, Russell's been talking this talk for like a year and a half now, if not 2 years. So, I mean, like, to me, if he really wanted the Lomachenko fight, he would have cut Lomachenko off at the pass, gotten Salido in the ring, and then if you beat Salido, you can hold that over Lomachenko's head and be like, now you have to fight.
Mm-hmm. There's numerous ways to get to him.
He didn't do that. Yeah, or he could have, went after the WBC and WBA titles himself. He didn't do that either at super featherweight. But, like I said, he didn't do that either. So, I mean, at this point, it might as well, I don't know, try to fight Terry Flanagan or some shit and cut him off that way or something.
But he can't go up to lightweight, can he? He's too small.
Yeah, I wouldn't favor him. I wouldn't even necessarily favor him at super featherweight.
No.
But I'm just talking to what he's speaking about.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want those fights, that's what you have to do. Andre Ward can't just come out of his mouth and say like, "Oh, I want to fight Deontay Wilder." Fuck out of here. Like me, like he's got Joshua and Klitschko and Fury to potentially fight, man. Like that's like the equivalent in my mind. Even though they haven't even fought before. But yeah, for you to just come and say that, I mean, shit. Let's see. Let's have Errol Spence say that he wants to fight the winner of Canelo Golovkin or some shit. It's like the same thing. It's like how does anybody have any real mandate to fight you when you haven't proven anything at the weight class that they're existing at?
Yep. And there's this FS Sports 1 card. Anything else?
No, that was pretty much it from what I saw. There was some good undercard fights, but I didn't. I have them recorded, but I haven't gotten a chance to watch them yet.
No problem. The rest is really the Japanese fights. I've seen some of them, so you just go and I'll chime in if I've caught the fight.
Well, do you want to start with the ones that you've seen, so that we can have a back and forth a bit?
Yep, I did see Daigo Higa versus Chiritos Navarrete Hernandez. Yeah, I don't know. Was it me? I've never seen Higa before, but it just seemed like every shot was hurting Chiritos. So is that the case? I know he's got a perfect knockout ratio, but I thought his ability to cut the ring off was quite decent as well. Like Navarrete was moving a lot laterally, and he was stepping across and just working the body. He had a nice uppercut, man. Like it was a pretty decent beatdown, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of compared Higa a little bit before to like a bit of a Golovkin style, and I think he definitely proved it here against Hernandez because if anybody's seen Hernandez before, like that this guy, he's up on his toes, he's all over the place, he's switching back and forth, southpaw orthodox. He's very quick, he has like that Gamboa kind of improvisational style in there. But I mean, Higa was definitely able to cut off the ring extremely well. It seemed like he was having a little bit of trouble with Hernandez early because Hernandez had the speed advantage. But it's like once Higa managed to start cutting off the ring, he landed that peach of a left hook in the second round where he dropped Hernandez. And it was kind of funny because that was a round that I thought Hernandez actually controlled most of it. But once the rounds kind of told on, Higa, he was just kind of slowly but surely cutting off the ring. Landed just clean hard shots, especially to the body that were buzzing Hernandez, and then he landed another overhand right in the fifth round, dropping Hernandez on his ass, and then the sixth round he dropped him 4 more times for a total of 6 knockdowns, where the ref finally stopped it in the sixth. And I mean, Higa is an absolutely devastating puncher. 13-0 with 13 knockouts, and I think that knockout record is absolutely real because nobody had really done Hernandez like that. He had one previous knockout loss, but that was way earlier in his career. That was in like his 9th fight or something. And that happens. If you look at like the Marquez brothers' careers, they were fighting tough guys early on down in Mexico, Salido, etc. Hernandez had that type of early career, and even then he only had that loss, and then his other loss was to Kazuto Ioka, who's currently the WBA flyweight champion and a pound-for-pound type of a fighter in his own right. He was a world champion at 105, 108, and 112. Ioka was. So, I mean, for Higa to just cut through Hernandez like that and just devastate him the way that he did, even though, he definitely had a little bit of trouble in doing it. He definitely had some resistance in doing it, but he fought through that resistance. To me is extremely impressive, and extremely impressive for as young as he is too. He's another young guy, 21 years old, and actually, I'm gonna have to look it up if he's younger than Tanaka, because one of those two is actually the youngest current world champion. But It's him. It's him. He's younger than Tanaka.
Tanaka's 21.
Yeah, they're both 21, but Tanaka's a few months older than them. So yeah, Higa's the youngest world champion in boxing. And he looks every bit like, I wouldn't necessarily say a veteran, because even though, as I said, I kind of compared him to Golovkin, he doesn't necessarily have all the timing and all that stuff down that comes with years of experience that Golovkin has had in the amateurs and in the pros. But he has pretty good foot speed, pretty good hand speed as well. He's not just a slow clubber, and he's another guy that, I don't know, he might actually be the best flyweight in the world now. It's really tough for me to choose to pick anybody against him. I think I might favor Yoko over him simply because Yoko has more experience. But I think that just the amount of power that he has, I think he'd be able to just physically manhandle Dani Nietes, IBF champ, and Zhou Shiming, the WBO champ. Zhou, he's really quick and everything, but I think Higa would be able to cut him off, and those punches are just too hard, just too damn hard. I think you have to have more inside craft, which Ioka does. But even then, I'm not sure if Ioka, he'd have to really be like nip and tuck with it. He'd have to like box a really good fight in order to avoid getting put down the way that Hernandez did. Because Higa can bang, and we'll get to Tanaka, but I had been saying that Tanaka's been talking about trying to win world titles in 5 different weight classes. If there's one guy that may keep him from moving up to 112 anytime soon, it's Higa. Like, he may be that guy, that boogeyman that Tanaka's people are like, yeah, we're not gonna fight that guy. We'll try and do our own thing over here, because he's a monstrous looking fighter, man.
And just quickly, that Chiritos lost the belt on the scale anyway. He came in overweight, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He was 112.5. He was originally 113. He had 2 more opportunities to weigh in. He weighed in the second time, 112.5, and then he decided not to even go through with the third one. I guess he was pretty much as dried out as he could be. He looked fairly spry on his legs though. In there against Higa. Who knows? Maybe. He was a little bit chinny from the weight cut too, but still, I thought he looked fairly fresh-legged, and he was boxing pretty well. I thought he was boxing about every bit as well as he had against Narupan Kaikana when he won the title. He landed some really nice uppercuts on Higa, but Higa has a granite chin too. He has definitely a good chin, because I've seen Hernandez land those same hooks against everybody else, and usually they're falling all over the place. Higa was able to take them, eat them, and keep coming forward and just continue his onslaught. Really good stuff.
Same card, but I only managed to catch 4 rounds of this before we had to start doing the show. Endam versus Murata. From what I hear from people, it's one of the worst robberies in recent years.
Yeah, honestly, like I said it afterwards, and I'm still struggling to find anything worse than it. I think it might be the worst decision I've ever seen. Like the worst that I've ever seen. Like, to me, this was worse than Solis McDonald and Perez Hooker combined.
So Neil, I said, I've only seen the first few, so just for people, even like Leon, who's not maybe seen the whole fight, break it down. Like, how did the flow of the fight go?
Okay, first round, Murata did almost nothing. He probably threw about 2 or 3 punches in the first round. Endam was throwing, but it was mostly landing on the gloves. It seemed like basically Murata was trying to see what Endam had, like in terms of speed, timing, power, etc. And he was kind of taking it slow. Murata, he tends to be, to take it easy a little bit. But at the very end of the first round, Murata threw a right hand, and Endam had almost like a really high guard, as he tends to do, like almost in the peekaboo stance. His hands like just almost below his eyes. And Murata threw a right hand. It hit Endam's left glove, and Endam's own glove hit himself in the face and like knocked him into the top rope, like almost over the top rope. And even though I scored that round for Endam, because Murata only really landed that one shot, or did he even land it? He hit the guy with his own glove. But still, to me, that was almost like a microcosm of what happened in the fight. Because in the second round, Endam still did outwork Murata. I think that's one of the other rounds that maybe you could give to Endam. But Murata started to at least get some sort of work rate going. There were some people trying to criticize Murata for, like, I guess, acting too slow, taking too long, just kind of just slowly walking him down. But, the thing is, he was walking Endam down and beating his ass. He actually officially dropped him in the 4th round with a peach of a right hand, knocked him down on his face, actually. Endam was able to survive, get up, and make the 10 count. But But just a quick note on referee Luis Pabon. Luis Pabon is the worst referee in boxing history. The worst referee. Every time I see Luis Pabon refereeing a fight, I cringe because I know that there's like the chance of really bad calls just went up infinitely because he's terrible. And he missed about 4 or 5 knockdowns that Murata should have landed on Endom, because there were several times where Murata would land a big right hand to Endom's chin. Endom would fly into the ropes like a WWE wrestler, and then like kind of bounce off of him. Like where if those ropes weren't there, he'd be on the fucking concrete.
Naota,
outside of the ring.
Naota, I'd call your Lewis Pabon and I'd raise you Ian John Lewis.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad one. I don't know, man, but I think Pabon might be worse because I mean Pabon's getting. I think Pabon might be at a slightly higher level. Like I think Ian John Lewis is like world level, and Luis Pabon is like all time great worst level. Like he's like all the ATW all time worst, but just god awful, man. Every round from 3 to 12 was nothing but Murata. Just beating Hassan and Dom around the ring. And I mean, I know you saw probably the messages that me and Kimo were exchanging in the chat and everything as the fight was going on. Just like Murata was piecing him up in such a way that I was thinking like, wow, like we have a legitimate, like not only is he a mandatory for the winner of Canelo versus Golovkin, but he's, I think, a legit challenge for the winner of Canelo versus Golovkin. Like finally we have like somebody that's a mandatory challenger that's really like a legit challenge for like who is ostensibly and like really going to be the top guy at middleweight, right? So for the scorecards to come back the way that they did, I thought was just absolutely ridiculous because Murata literally like from like if you just watch round 3 and round 5, pretty much that's round 6 through 12 was exactly what those rounds were. Just Endom kind of bouncing around the ring, throwing a bunch of slappy punches like you'd imagine somebody that just barely started boxing, that's like never even taken a boxing class before, and all of them landing on the gloves. Except for maybe an occasional jab that he would actually land on Murata's face. And then Murata landing one shot, and even if it was like partially grazing or blocked or whatever, would completely push Endom across the ring like a fucking pinball. And it was just completely unbelievable. And I thought it was really strange the way that Pedro Diaz, Hassan Endom's trainer, was all excited at the end of the fight. I'm like, oh shit, he must be just happy that this motherfucker survived because Murata kicked his ass. Because Murata beat Endom worse than Quillen and Lemieux did combined. And he beat him clearly. Like, Endom didn't win anything any more than really 2 rounds. And the decision was so bad, as a matter of fact, that the WBA president, Roberto Mendoza, wound up saying, like, he scored it himself. He said that he scored it, what was it, I think 117 to 110. And, he said that he was embarrassed by the decision. He was getting absolute shit on Twitter. I gave him shit on Twitter, definitely. And I mentioned Pabon by name in that tweet. The thing is, they've already announced an immediate rematch. So they're ordering an immediate rematch of this fight. So at least, that's some consolation, but it's really unfortunate because, hopefully they get that rematch done in a similar time frame to when Alvarez and Golovkin is going to happen, because I think it's bullshit if Murata's career gets put on hold due to such a fucked up decision. I think it's absolute bullshit because he deserves to fight the winner of that fight.
It's so unfair on these on the guys who get scored this badly, isn't it? Because they've got that on their record. It's just when they're this bad by all the people who are raging, and if that guy is coming out, Mendoza's coming out and saying that, I mean, they should just be able to overturn. They should make this a no contest and fight again, really, shouldn't they?
Yeah, the L shouldn't be.
If it's that bad, yeah, exactly. The L shouldn't stand.
Yep. Same card, Naoto. You got anything to say about Ganigan Lopez and Ken Shiro?
Lopez Shiro was actually a really good technical fight. This is actually like kind of the anomaly of all the fights in Japan and probably all of the fights of the weekend, really. It wasn't really like a slugfest between these two. It really just a good, classy, technical boxing display from both of them. I had favored Lopez to slightly win the fight against Shiro, and I thought he did win the fight. I scored it 115 to 113 for Lopez, but this wasn't a robbery by any means. To me, it was pretty much a dead even fight all the way through, like to the extent where I thought there was probably about 7 or 8 rounds, like 7 or 8 swing rounds between these two. Like it was that close. Every round was very, very closely contested. Shiro, I think, had an advantage early on because he was a bit quicker. He's 25. Lopez, I think, is almost 35 now. And, so Lopez is getting on a bit. Very experienced, but at the same time, especially for the lighter weight classes, that's very much on the old side. But he doesn't show it though. I mean, Lopez still looked really good, but Shiro definitely had the advantage in terms of speed early on. He was kind of getting off the first shots and, taking advantage, I think, of Lopez being a little bit immobile at first and being able to kind of measure out the right hand, getting his left foot on the outside of Lopez's right foot, as you're supposed to do against a southpaw. I think once it got a little bit into the middle rounds, though, Lopez started getting into a different kind of rhythm. He actually almost kind of changed his rhythm up, almost like to a Juan Manuel Marquez or a Ricardo Finito Lopez style, where it's like he had the high guard and started kind of moving that side to side. And I thought he won a few rounds doing that because he changed up that rhythm enough that Shiro had a much more difficult time finding Lopez. And Lopez was able to kind of shoot shots up the middle and then come around. Like he'd shoot the 1-2 down the middle and then shoot like the 3, 4, and 5 to the body. And that's something that I thought is really unique about Lopez, is that he's really a defensively sound fighter, but one that actually goes to the body extremely well and is able to take a lot of the starch out of an opponent. I think he did that to a degree against Shiro. I thought Lopez won the first, Shiro won 2, 3, and 4. Lopez won 5, 6, and 7. I thought Shiro started to come back in the 8th and the 9th. But as I said, most of these rounds were really close, tit for tat type stuff. And, but both of them were just showing classy skills all the way through. Shiro started doing well again in the 8th and the 9th. I thought he nicked him. But to me, I thought the championship rounds were more controlled by Lopez, especially the last round. I thought it was kind of funny because as I was watching it live, they didn't show this fight live. I had to catch it in the aftermath. I had to catch footage of this fight afterwards. But they only played the 12th round because the Higa Hernandez fight ended early, and then they went right into they had some time to fill before the Murata Endam fight started, right? So they played the 12th round of Lopez Shiro to show everybody in Japanese television that Shiro is the new champion and everything. And at the time, all of a sudden, Japan had completely taken over the 108-pound division. Nothing but Japanese champions at 108 pounds. But Lopez, to me, I thought was able to gut out the 12th round. The 12th round was like an action-packed round. Like that was like a round of the year type round between the two of them, just throwing hands like nobody's business. And it was crazy because like that round was unique because every other round was very much tactical, technical. That 12th round was just an absolute slugfest. It was like Lopez trying to keep his title, Shiro trying to snatch it away from him. I thought Lopez was able to win that last round, and I thought that's what I thought should have got him the decision. But the decision wound up coming down as a majority decision for Ken Shiro. And the judges had it 114, of course, for the draw, and then the other two had it 115 to 113 for Shiro. But as I said before, though, like this was an either way type of fight. I'm not mad at the decision at all. I would like to see Lopez get a rematch, if not next, maybe a little bit down the road, because I do know that Pedro Guevara, Lopez's rival, is in line to fight Shiro. He's the mandatory. So, and I think that's a really good fight because I think Guevara and Shiro have such similar styles that I think their styles will clash in a way that we'll get a really good fight out of it. Not even just a technical masterpiece type of fight, but I think it might kind of devolve into a slugfest simply because they punch at like the same angles with the same kind of timing and the same type of speed. It's like they're like almost fighting mirror images of each other. So I think that's a really intriguing fight. And I mean, props to Shiro for doing it. I saw he gave his in the aftermath of when they presented him with his title, he gave it to his dad because his dad was like a Japanese middleweight champion back in the day, and also like OBPF light heavyweight champion back in the day, but he never got a world title. So it's like he presented his dad with his belt, like I guess fulfilling the dream, almost like an Angel and Danny Garcia thing, except for Shiro's dad actually fought. So you could say that for
and Shiro's dad's not a bum.
Yeah, that too, and going on crazy ass rants. But I mean, props to Shiro, and I mean, props to Lopez for not giving his title away gracefully. He fought his ass off.
Now to the card in Japan on the Sunday, I caught it, the two fights, the main fights anyway. Inoue versus Lim's boy Ricardo Rodriguez. Pretty easy work for Inoue. Rodriguez tried in the second. He kind of coming forward, stumbling. His technique was pretty poor, I thought. Inoue's left hooks, especially in that third round, were on point. Dropped him once, dropped him twice, and Bob's your uncle. It's pretty easy work for Inoue.
Yeah, really impressively easy too. Because I mean, Ricardo Rodriguez had 2 previous losses to David Carmona, but they were 2 very close losses. I think one was a majority decision, the other was a close unanimous. But I mean, David Carmona, as we've seen before, he was the only other man, along with Taguchi, to give Inoue a 12-round fight or a distance fight. He was the only man to actually last 12 rounds. Taguchi was a 10-rounder, and he gave Quadras a pretty good amount of difficulty too. Even though I thought Quadras won that fight fairly clearly, but I mean, I thought Carmona gave him some trouble there. So for Inoue to completely just dispose of Rodriguez like he was just a total bum, in spite of the fact that he was another guy that could have potentially been a mandatory. I think they chose Rodriguez so that they could clear out any sort of mandatory issues for Inoue's U.S. debut this fall. Inoue just completely obliterated the guy. Rodriguez never really even got into the fight. He landed a couple of good body shots, I thought, in the second round, but like that was very few and far between. Inoue looks kind of big, I think he's been putting on some muscle in order to potentially be moving up to bantamweight soon. I think that's why they've been talking about it. But like he definitely doesn't look like the same fighter that fought Narvaez a couple of years ago. He's definitely grown into the weight well. And yeah, man, that left hook is nasty. Every time he landed that left hook, Rodriguez was stumbling. He went down with a single shot left hook. Just that boom left hook, he goes down in the third round, and then he followed up a little bit and then landed another one of those left hooks. And at that point, Rodriguez was just out of it from that second left hook. He was out of it. The ref pretty much waved it off at like 7 or 8. And yeah, man, Inoue he's an absolute beast. He's an absolute beast. And when people talk about the possibility of him fighting Chocolatito and stuff like that, a year ago, and I had said it even on here, I was favoring Gonzalez and like Estrada to still be too experienced for him. But now I'm not entirely sure. I think just the physical dynamism is starting to be caught up for him with the experience and the technical ability as well. And I think Inoue is really developing into like a great fighter, a really, truly great fighter. It's sounding like they're going to have his debut in the U.S. at 115. So I'm hoping he sticks around just long enough so that he can get those big fights against the other 115 pounders and doesn't do something like go up to 118 and then kind of force the other guys to move up, which I mean is fair enough too. I'm just hoping the fights happen, at whatever weight, because I mean I think even Suisaket, Quadras could very well move up. I'm not quite as sure about Estrada and especially Gonzalez, who's a bit chubby, even at 115. But other than that, I mean, they're also even talking about Inoue fighting Zanat Zakianov again, possibly at New Year's, for the WBA title that Zakianov has that he won over Rashid Warren. That's Ricky Hatton's boy. But it's hard for me to favor anybody over Inoue, man. Like even if he was to fight, I think he'll probably beat everybody at 118 except maybe Yamanaka or even Luis Neri if Neri proves to be the goods and Jorge Lara's Yamanaka. But I mean Inoue, he's a total dynamo. He's really damn good, and I think a big part of the reason why I still hope that he stays at 115 for a little while, at the very least for his initial debut, and it's looking like that's going to happen, is I think a lot of the Western audience, a lot of the American audience, really missed out on seeing Gonzalez's rise, like ascension to the top. They missed out on how great he was as a 105 pounder and a 108 pounder, and even his early portion as a 112 pounder. And they only kind of saw him as he was already at the peak of his power, and now he might be sort of on the other side of that peak, possibly. With Inoue, I'm hoping that people get to truly appreciate a lot of his ascension, because I mean, as it is, they've kind of already missed out on some of it with his dominance at 108 and then even at 115 now. But yeah, I'm hoping they do it. But yeah, it looks like September is going to be the U.S. debut for Inoue. I'm not sure if it might be on the Gonzalez Fisa kit card or if it might be on the Golovkin Canelo card, but I'd imagine that those are probably the two cards that they're eyeing for it. And I mean, hopefully it happens there, and hopefully it's against somebody good. I mean, I know Kayafai has been talking big game. Hey, I think Inoue is ready anytime, any place, anywhere. I mean, he's been offering fights to the other champions, and Concepcion didn't want any of it. Ankaz didn't want any of it. If anything happens with Estrada and Quadras, I mean, I think Estrada would be a fantastic debut and everything, or even Janrio Casimero. I think Casimero would be a solid one too, solid U.S. debut. But I'm hoping that it's really against one of those really top 5-ish level super flyweights, so people can really see the goods on display. Because Inoue is serious.
MVQ's line always sticks in the back of my head when he says never trust a Japanese fighter outside of Japan. So we'll see if he comes over. It'd be really good if he's either on the Golovkin card or the rematch between Rungvisai and Choco. But just quickly, Yagashi got blitzed in one round by Milan Melendo. Pretty impressive stoppage, I thought. He dropped him a couple times, and
shocking, man. That was a total shock. Nobody predicted that. Absolutely nobody, except maybe Melindo's camp or something. Even Melindo said he was surprised that he stopped him that fast.
You know what's interesting, Leota? So I knew he lost in the first round, but I didn't know how he lost. So I just thought, let me just test myself. Let me see what type of punches are thrown in the first part, because I know it's going to end in the first round. Let me just see in the first 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, what I think is the punch that's really going to do damage to Yagashi. And Melendo, basically, he was all left hand in the first 20, 30 seconds I saw. It was either jabs or lead left hooks. So I thought he's going to catch him with a left hook. And that's exactly what happened. The first two were left hooks. The final one, I think it was a kind of right hand left hook, and it was all over. But it's pretty, it's pretty amazing how if you concentrate and try and look for the punches that are going to stop him, you can see tendencies which some boxers have straight away.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, looking at Melindo's past fights, he's very much left hook happy. And unfortunately in the past, I think Melindo was primarily known for his two big championship losses to Estrada years ago, which was right after Estrada beat Valoria for the belt. And then to Javier Mendoza, which
that was a technical decision, that wasn't it?
Against Mendoza, they got stopped on cuts. But Mendoza was kind of schooling him all the way through. Melindo was having a real tough time being able to find your southpaw brethren, Cam. He was having a difficult time finding them.
But it's funny that I've said in these divisions before where they always have these triangle fights. So he lost to Mendoza on the cuts, and then Yagashi beat Mendoza, picked up the strap, and now it's gone back to Melindo. It's weird, you have a lot of these triangle fights down at these weights.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to, I think, the fact that everybody's fighting everybody. These guys are constantly fighting each other. I think some people they feel that maybe I overrate some of the lighter weight fighters. But I mean, if that was the case, then I would be saying, Donnie Nietes is a pound for pounder, and so is Winheng Manayoten, etc. But I don't. I try to be as legit as possible with it. And it's just a matter of fact that these guys are fighting the way that boxers should. They're fighting against best versus best at a fairly constant rate. And Yagashi was able to just kind of flood Mendoza with volume, which is what you do to a finesse fighter like that. Melindo was taking too long, basically. But Melindo definitely didn't take long here against Yagashi, and he finally got that signature win under his cap, and did a damn good job doing it, man. You can't really ask for much better than a first-round knockout. Clipped him with those left hooks and got him out of there. I'm wondering if maybe Yagashi may have been weight drained, because the thing is he's talked for over a year and a half now about moving up not only to 112 but to 115, because he was talking about wanting to become a full-weight champion. But if you look at his body type compared to when he used to fight at 105 and 108 before the Ioka fight, or in the Ioka fight and right afterward, back in 2009, 2010, he's definitely a bigger guy than he was back then. So I'm wondering if that may have contributed to it, because I've seen him take bigger punches than when Milando threw before, and be able to kind of work through it. He fought. He went 6 or 7 rounds with Roman Gonzalez, for fuck's sake. And Gonzalez definitely hits harder than Melindo. Melindo's more of a sharp puncher as opposed to a thudding one.
Why did he go back down? Because he did go up to 112. What was it? Just there was better maybe competition and fights being made lower down, or?
Well, he moved down because he felt like he had a better shot to continue his career at 108 than 112. Because you got to remember, he had just lost to Gonzalez, and Estrada had just become a champion, and then you had I'm not run wrong there too. So I don't think he would have beat any of those guys. So I think it was just a matter of trying to extend his career in the best way that he could. So he moved down to 108 and basically just tried to bear it, bear the weight cuts and everything.
Yep. Lastly, on the Saturday was Tanaka versus Acosta. Anything you want to talk about that, or should we move on?
Tanaka versus Acosta, really another really good fight. Somewhat similar to Lopez versus Shiro, but a little bit more brutal. Acosta, kind of like Daigo Higa, as I mentioned earlier, knockout artist, entered the fight at 16-0 with 16 knockouts, and he showed some pretty good class and quality early on. He was ratcheting off some nice jabs and good hand speed early on, but it was just a matter of time. Once Kosei Tanaka got into that rhythm, it was especially like when they kind of went hook for hook. Tanaka could just take Acosta shots better than Acosta could take Tanaka's. And, as I've mentioned with Tanaka before, he's talked about winning world titles at 5 different weight classes. And I thought he was almost like being like, just being unrealistic with himself before the Fuentes fight. Or, and he just completely destroyed Fuentes. So I'm thinking that maybe his struggles at 105 were simply because he was weight drained. And, talking about winning at 5 different weight classes, I think that may be because he's gaining a lot of weight after the post fight weigh-in the 24 hours between the weigh-in and the fight. But what I love about Tanaka, not only is he a really good fighter, good puncher and everything, and really quality skills. I'm not rating him as high as Naoya Inoue in terms of like ability and everything. Even when Inoue was his age, 21 years old. But I do think that Tanaka might have pound for pound for potential of his own as well. I mean, not only because he's ambitious and he's taking these hard fights, but I mean, he's taking them and he's performing extremely well in them, and he is improving. And what I loved about this fight too was immediately in the aftermath of it, Tanaka won a unanimous decision, a deserved unanimous decision. I thought he won. What did I have it? I think I had him winning like 9 out of the 12 rounds. Really, really good win for him. I thought. He wound up calling out Ryoichi Taguchi. Taguchi was doing the commentary for Japan Ringside. Taguchi got in the ring, and they took pictures together. It looks like that fight's going to be on for this fall. And he also said that he wants to fight Akira Yagashi. But this was, of course, about 30 hours before Yagashi got starched by Melindo. So that fight's not going to be taking place anytime soon. But, I think that just goes to his ambitiousness, though. He's looking to have unifications, especially, against the Japanese champions, I think is very possible. Him maybe versus Kinshiro at some point as well. And, if he's able to do that and even, move up and win titles at 112, I think he might be almost kind of following in the footsteps of Inoue. That, as I mentioned before, that said, I don't think he's quite as naturally talented as Naoya is. But, he has proven me wrong in the past, so he may still develop some of those skills. But even aside from the technical aspects of it, I'm not sure if he has that same kind of thudding power that Inoue does. So, but once again, he could prove me otherwise.
All right, Leon, are you awake?
Yes.
We were talking earlier about Mikey and Broner, man. Give me some details. What would this likely to be at 140 or Broner weight, like 143?
I was looking around. There's not much detail I could see. Just Fight Hub saying that that's what's in the plan. The plan was they were going to be on the same card, but now they've changed it to being the fight. But it might all be nonsense. But if it's at 140, everything's in Mikey's favour, isn't it? Moving up into the weight. Broner coming down. Mikey will just starch him, I think.
The only negative for me is I think
not
there's
starch him, but he'll school him maybe.
There's a lot of good fights for Mikey at 35, so I kind of don't want this fight. I'd rather Mikey fight some of the good guys at 35.
Yeah, but Broner's still a name, isn't it? So if it's Showtime trying to, just give us more good fights, no complaints here. But I feel that's quite easy for Mikey.
What do you think, Naoto?
Yeah, I mean, especially since Broner is in jail right now, so there's that too. The thing about Broner is, I actually still think that he'd be fairly difficult for Garcia simply due to the size. It'd be the first time Garcia's fighting somebody that's that big. And, Broner still has a good amount of hand speed and everything. It's like in the aftermath of the Rances Bartholomew fight, Bartholomew and Broner had a little bit of a tiff on Twitter. And the thing is, I'd favor Broner to kick Bartholomew's ass, especially because I think Bartholomew's inside game compared to Broner, there's really no contest. Mikey, on the other hand, I think I would probably favor Garcia to beat Broner, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it was going to be easy. I mean, if he did make it look easy, I think that'd be extremely impressive. But the thing about Broner too is regardless of what the weight is, Broner's going to do what Broner does. So even if they make it at 140 or 141, Broner's probably going to weigh in at 145, come in at 160, and you're definitely going to have a full blown welterweight in there, regardless of trying to make it a light welterweight or a catchweight. So I mean, yeah, if that was to happen, I think that'd be an impressive win for Garcia if he was to have it. So. Depending on what happens with it, I wouldn't even necessarily be sad if Garcia kind of missed out on some of the great lightweight fights, even though I still am clamoring for those. Garcia is a prize fighter and he is looking for the money, so it's entirely possible, and they may be throwing Broner to the Sharks finally. Finally, it looks like they may be getting sick of him, but I don't know. I still kind of take this with a grain of salt. I'm really not sure if it's going to happen.
Yeah, the money aspect I understand, but I don't even think having Broner on your resume these days is such a big achievement, because I think he's such a kind of lost cause and sort of wasted talent.
I mean, I think for Garcia it would be, because I mean, outside of Maidana, I mean, the only other guy I guess you could really say that arguably beat Broner was Granados. I thought he beat him, but even still, it wasn't like an easy fight or anything. It was a gritty fight. Oh yeah, Porter. My bad. Good.
But the thing is, though, is like I get your point that he hasn't lost to any of these guys, but he's looked like so shitty against the majority of them. I think that's the bigger issue with me, is that at least when Broner fought Maidana, his name was still relevant, whereas now I don't even think Broner's that big of a draw.
Same.
Yeah, I think you kind of underestimate that, man. I still hear his name from the casual kind of world star hip hop audience and shit. So
for getting arrested, for getting shot at, for taking a shit at a restaurant.
But here's the thing though. If Garcia goes in there and flatlines him, that just raises Garcia's profile beyond any of these fights at lightweight.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about him. I feel like we should have a hard set rule on not talking about Broner ever until he's relevant again, which he hasn't been in 3 or 4 fights.
I'm for that. Maybe you could do that. But you guys got any news that you've seen that you want to talk about?
No. Let's get on to what we've kind of slightly covered already with chemo.
Yeah, I think we.
Well, I mean, of course, just real quick mention. I'm not sure if the police have caught up with the Durell uncle yet, but that's good. I think that's going to be a problem for them.
Problem.
Yeah, that's going to get messy, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're not going to have a problem though. Maybe Anthony will if he did attack someone from the commission, but
no. But I think he trains them though.
Yeah, but it's trainer. You can get people change trainers all the time. It's not going to be a big issue.
Yeah, true.
Cam loves changing a trainer.
That's my MO. That, but
yeah, exactly.
Maybe they'll join MGM Marbella.
Maybe they might. Yeah, join MTK Global.
Team Failure meets Home of the Bums.
That'd be like perfect partnership, Leon. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, made in heaven.
I don't know, man. Like, maybe I'm a contrarian, but I kind of agree. I side with Clarissa Shields on this whole situation, man.
No, you don't. You're just trying to be awkward.
I'm serious. Like, you guys haven't been in the ring before. So you don't know what it's like to have a family member train you. You know what I mean? Like, my dad used to train me when I fought amateurs, and I just think that's what happened when family's involved, man.
Your dad never trained you, man.
Was Mr. Lim wandering around the amateur gyms icing other trainers and icing fighters, like knocking out 13-year-old kids?
He did some shit in one of the guys that I fought. He put some shit in his water, and that's just kind of what you do and what families involved.
Emotions.
No, I'm kidding. No, that's just stupid. But no, I do think it's really just fascinating from a legal standpoint. Do you know if the like extenuating circumstances might play a role in here? The fact that obviously it's not like your typical assault case, and that there are extenuating circumstances that led to his action. I'm just really curious as to see what the legal consequences are going to be.
Well,
the evidence is pretty damning, man.
They're gonna arrest him for first and second degree assault, which I believe carries up to a 25-year sentence, I guess, if you fight it in Maryland. But
if you put that in the street, it doesn't matter. That's on a street. It might as well be on a street because it's after. It might be after a boxing match, but if you did that on the street, you'd be arrested. It's an assault. The man didn't know what was happening. They weren't in a fight. He just punched him out of nowhere.
I was gonna say what really hurts them is the fact that it was on camera and everything was on camera, like from Andrade Durell, saying like, "Oh no, it's all good," kind of trying to let bygones be bygones with Uzcategui, to the way that Durell's uncle snuffed him, to just sucker punched him. I mean, and not only that, but they had it in slow motion from like 3 different angles, and it's like it's a meme on the internet. So. Like it's not like there's anything. It's like nip and tuck. It's like
they
you can't get any more blatant than that.
They cut to Gray to tell us that the police were after him. Showtime were loving it, weren't they?
That was like, oh shit! Our ratings are going through the roof tonight.
Drama.
I don't know. Well, I just think this is the best thing that could have happened for Durell's career, because I think we get a clear understanding of where his lack of power comes from. Because my gosh, if you can't even hurt briefly with that clean left hook, and while the guy had no idea of your intentions or didn't see the punch whatsoever, maybe if Durell hires another trainer, maybe Juan must trainer, he'll get
but
more power.
His follow-up punch was like Mr. Tickle. It was so wavy, the punch. The follow-up punch was hilarious.
Yeah, and he's their trainer, so technique-wise, that's a bad look.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
people are gonna hate us.
Maybe they need to get Vasquez's trainer in there.
Yeah, let's move on now. Sheffield, we kind of, like Leon said, we touched on it.
Yeah.
Earlier, but Lim, what's your thoughts, man? If you had to make a pick right now, I'm kind of on Chemo's train of thought. There's so many variables, so many.
Happy fish.
Happy fish, yeah.
Happy fish.
All right.
No, I think Kell looks ready. Kell looks really good, man. I think this is probably the best version of Kell that you're going to see. I believe him, man. I think the eye situation can be a factor, but I don't know. I just think with science nowadays and just how how normalized like the procedures have been, because I do actually know a friend of mine who had his orbital restructured about 3 months ago, and he's been doing great. He says like you can't even tell that it's there, especially with the kind of procedures and surgeries that are available nowadays. I don't think that's going to be that much of an issue. His weight obviously looks great, so I think what I'm happy about is that some of these variables, for me at least, are getting kind of put to the side burner. But even with that being said, I'm still picking Errol. And I just think Errol there's not many fighters that can generate that much power with the tight high guard that he has. Like everything that he does on the mitts is just fucking beautiful, man. It's so textbook. And it's just something that I'm really envious of. I've always tried to emulate that kind of style, but it's just been really tough. And I know his defense has been kind of a concern for some people, but I just think the amount of power that he can generate in that fucking left hook to the body, I think is going to catch Kell pretty early on. And I think Errol might have the best body punch in boxing aside from Triple G. So I'm going to pick Errol by late stoppage in the 9th round. I think he's a good man. He has a chance to be really special. And when Errol talks about unifying straps, unifying belts, I should believe him. When Keith said all that shit, I didn't believe him. So I really hope that Errol kind of makes his name and his mark in the sport of boxing, and really dominates his weight division like Triple G did at 160 and like others have at other weight classes.
Leon, if you had to make a pick right now.
Oh, I don't know. If you put a gun to my head, just say Spence, but I no conviction. I don't know. Like Akimo said, it's just this is what it should be like, isn't it? When you get a good fight, you should still be second guessing yourself right up until the first bell goes.
Yep.
And I just feel like that. And I just think there was a lot of talk of how does Kell make the weight because he went up to fight Triple G, but he had a long time to do this properly. And I know it's still cutting muscle, which is difficult, but he's had a long build-up to this fight. So he should have been, and he looks like he's in good shape. From what we've seen, he looks like he doesn't look like he's, like, completely gaunt, but we don't know how far off he is either. So I think it's, does he make the weight? Does his eye hold up? Although Dan makes good points about that. And then the other one is, can Spence take a punch? Because for a lot of Brook's faults, he will land that jab on him on a regular basis, and I think he will at some point land a good right hand on him. And if he can take that, then he'll get to him and stop him. But that's the one. Errol's chin is the big question, I think.
I was talking to someone about this fight today, and there's not been a week in a long time where I just want the week to fly by, and I wish it was Saturday because this fight is so intriguing. It's just, like I said, so many variables, and even though like Dan talks about the eye situation, I still think it is a big situation because if he gets hit on it and it puffs up a bit, like his confidence might go. Like, can Errol go deep into rounds? Also, what Kimo was saying is, will Brook try and spoil it? Just the 1-2 and grab and hold Spence and frustrate him, just like he did with Sean Porter. Not let him work on the inside. It's interesting, man. I just hope it's a good fight, and whoever comes through, I hope they do look for unifications.
Who do you think the bigger guy is going to be?
I think it's Spence. I think Spence is very big.
Yeah.
Very big.
Is the taller, bigger frame guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's taller. Yeah. I mean, when they had the press conference, he was like an inch or two taller than him.
Because I always thought Brook was big, so I mean Spence is big. Yeah, I thought they would be closer than that size.
I think Spence has longer arms.
Yeah, BoxRec have Brook at 5'9" and Spence at 5'9.5", but in the press conference he looked bigger than that. Or maybe
5'10", did he?
Yeah, maybe it's the shoe situation. Reach, Brook's at 69 and Spence is at 72.
Ooh, that doesn't favour getting that jab off, does it? But I guess Brook's got good timing with that jab. I think that could frustrate Spence early.
The strange thing about Spence is that even though he has such long arms, all of his punches are so compact. I mean, which is a positive. But like honestly, man, I know I could just keep talking about the mitt work, but the way that he turns over his shots, man, with such ease is fucking beautiful to watch, man. I love it. And by the way, guys, that eye story, that eye situation, and the friend, I completely made that up, so don't believe that.
You're a bastard.
Useless.
Yeah.
I was gonna say too, like Spence to me is a bit more of like a mid-range to inside fighter as well. Like,
he doesn't use his length. Yeah.
If anything, I think Brook really wants this to be more of like an at-distance fight, and then if Spence gets in close, he's gonna want to clinch him. But I think Spence's best stuff is gonna come on the inside, especially to the body. But as well as to the head, I think he'll probably go body first, then head right afterwards. Or maybe he'll start off trying to chin check him early and see what Brook's got up top. But I mean, it's a really intriguing fight. I've always favored Spence in this fight, and I still do. To me, I think everything kind of has to fall into place nicely for Brook to win this fight. I think he has to be able to make the weight correctly, rehydrate correctly, and fight just the correct fight in order to beat Spence. And it's like there's too many variables there for me to favor him in the fight. Spence, I mean, the thing is there are maybe some questions about his chin, if he can take that level of power against Brook, since he hasn't fought anybody that hits that hard. He has been shown himself to be a bit defensively liable for sure, and he hasn't fought anybody that punches him that with that amount of thudding power as well. So that could definitely be a variable as well. But I don't know. I think this is Spence's time, and I think he's gonna snatch it.
Are we kind of overrating Brook's power?
Maybe, like
No.
apart
Possibly.
from
Possibly in relation to Spence, but I think Brook, generally speaking, has pretty solid power. He did shake up Sean Porter. He has knocked out the guys that he's at the very least supposed to be knocking out in terms of level of opposition. But he's been doing it in a way that I think he carries enough power that there may be a scary moment or two for Spence at the very least.
It might have only been one shot, but he hurt Porter much more than Keith Thurman ever did.
So,
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I'm not, for some reason, I'm not that worried about Errol's chin. I know he hasn't fought anybody with, Brook's level or power either, but
he's fought no one with real power.
But it's not even necessarily so much his chin. Actually, I probably said that wrong. It's more, I think, his defense. He can get hit.
Yes.
And if you take a few too many of those, that could be bad.
I just feel like in relation to kind of the heat that Brook is going to throw at Spence versus what the heat that Spence is going to throw at Brook, I'd be more concerned if I was Brook.
Interesting.
But we've got to say that Spence's resume, although he's got some good wins, he's never come under any real pressure to talk of, or have to take a serious punch. That's all I'm saying.
The thing
he's
is,
fought a lot
Spence,
of light punching guys who are 140 fighters. I'm just saying that this is his real first natural big guy that he's fighting, I think.
Spence hasn't had to fight through adversity yet either. I mean, that's another question mark. He's been the on-top fighter in every fight. He's been just controlling and dominating guys.
But broski's like, who have been sparring the Lions? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
Fuck,
We've talked about it before. Male lions are fucking rubbish.
Whoa,
They sit around on rocks, let women go and hunt their meat for them, and just sit around and die on the rock.
Hashtag lions only.
Whatever,
Hashtag
man.
nearly extinct.
Iron sharpened iron, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Worst tagline ever.
It's a great. Who's on the? Who else is on this card, Cam? Are there any notable co-mains?
Chemo's favorite boxer?
Your second favorite ginger fighter?
George.
Oh, right. I'm sorry to jump the ship, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this one. The question that I posed to Chemo earlier in regards to, is it the best fight of the year? For me, it is. I'm not the most excited about it, but to me, it just, on paper, it is the most evenly matched fight, and I think the fact that there are so many variables makes the matchup all that more tantalizing and titillating.
You just want to say titillating.
Keep your tits to yourself.
You love that word. Leon, let's talk about Groves and Triunov. You went all the way to Manchester to see George Groves face Carl Froch in the first encounter.
He nearly killed him in that first round. Literally nearly killed him.
Before we were friends. Groves, I don't know. Triunov's had so much inactivity. I don't think he's fought for over a year since that. I think the second Stern fight he's not fought. And I hate Groves, but Triunov's is decent. He's quite basic, and he's been inactive, man. So I've got a favourite Groves if it's a decent enough ring and he can kind of box and moves. I'd hate to say it, but I think Groves will beat him and become, loose world champion or belt holder or whatever name you want to give it.
I'm never picking him again. I couldn't trust him as far as I throw him, so I'm picking Triunov.
Fair enough.
I'm never trust him again because he will gas. At some point, he will gas.
His stamina's got a bit better over the years.
Yeah, he might. All I'm saying is we've been in situations so many times before, and he fucks it.
I want him to lose.
So,
I don't know.
I think he might be unbearable if he wins, but it also means for UK people we definitely get number 2. I think.
Yeah.
With the Gale Groves, we definitely get that, and that's good for boxing because that'd be a big fight. So, but Triunov's he's a tough bastard like his brother, isn't he? So
he's tough. He's come forward, throws a lot of hooks. Everything's like a hook, not many straight punches, but he's quite basic, man. I don't know. He's got decent power. Like Buglioni was getting battered from pillar to post. He managed to survive.
So, 9 rounds, wasn't it, or something?
No,
They pulled him out, didn't they?
No, didn't he? I think he went to 12, didn't he? Yeah, he went to 12.
No, did he? I thought they should have pulled him out. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because he's getting beaten up.
He took a beating, yeah. But what do you think, Naoto? Who do you favour in Groves versus Chudinov?
2 words.
Don't care.
Felix Sturm.
Oh, your favourite fighter?
Chudinov struggled with Sturm, so he's trash to me. Groves all day.
Shit. Dan, do you give a shit about this fight?
I have no idea who Chudinov is.
Casual.
Dan wants Groves to win so he can get his ginger on ginger fight.
I mean, for real though, I mean, Chudinov, I mean, he has a bit of power, so that might be his chance. But I think Groves is too quick, too snappy, and I just think he's just naturally more talented than him, even outside of the skills.
I don't know. I hate George Groves, man. I really hate him. I don't know why I hate him. I just think it's because Chemo likes him so much. So any fighter that he likes, I just naturally hate.
That's fair.
That's another one. That's another train wreck for Chemo's graveyard, isn't it?
There's a lot of wrecks in there.
Yeah, man.
Leon, rest of the card, pretty trash.
I haven't even looked at it. I imagine it's absolute.
Who's in
an 8-rounder?
David Allen against Leroy Thomas for the Commonwealth 12-rounder. Jamie Cox versus Lewis Taylor for the vacant WBA Continental
Scumbag
Super Middleweight title. Andy Townsend versus John Case, and just a few Sheffield fighters, I think. Lawrence Okoli's on there in his 3rd fight, and Joe Cordina also in his 3rd fight. But for a pay-per-view card, I bet Eddie was buzzing when the Sauerlands phoned him up and said, "Can we put Groves versus Chudinov on the undercard?" He was like, "Oh fucking hell, yeah, go ahead."
Absolutely. But we ain't paying for it, are we? So
nope. Fuck 'em.
Now I've got that. Yeah, I found multiple options. They've got multiple versions of Sky Box Office, so I'm over the moon.
Yep. All right, let's move on unless anyone else has got anything to add. All right.
Will it sell out? Do we think it sells out?
I don't
No, there'll
think
be
it
tickets,
sells
won't there? They're saying it's a sell out, but
Leon, I'm thinking about just going to Sheffield and just hang out near a JD in case they have like tickets. Just get some freebies.
Oh, imagine, yeah, hanging out by Cobra Sports Cam.
I think that crowd should be pretty packed though. I think.
I don't think Brook's a draw,
He
man.
struggles, man.
Yeah, I don't think Brook's a draw, to be honest. Especially in the stadium, Neota, like it's
the people aren't hungry for the chocolate brownie.
Yeah, there's a lot of seats to fill, man. Man, I don't think he's that popular, but that's just me. Maybe he is.
Got to go back to. I still love that from Spencer. Like, what the fuck is a chocolate brownie? What the fuck are you talking about? Fucking weirdo, man.
He's the most irritating guy. He's the most irritating guy to watch. Like, it's like some of those like behind the ropes are cringy, man. Because it's like Ingle has to take over because Kell hasn't got the intelligence to kind of speak to the camera for a few seconds. So Ingle has to drop his few crappy jokes.
I just retweeted something that Brian retweeted. Have a look on that. He is a weirdo. Like, he's talking to the camera. He's a nutcase.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm amazed that he has a kid. And his girlfriend is really attractive too. So good for him, man. he's done well for somebody with an IQ of probably around 110, 120. So good for him, man. Impressive.
Hashtag winning.
Yeah, it gives me a lot of hope in life. That's for sure. I love the fact that he said juicy chocolate brownie too. Like, when is a chocolate brownie ever juicy? I've never had a juicy chocolate brownie in my life.
Yeah, they're very dry, aren't they? So.
Yeah. I was gonna say if your chocolate brownie's juicy, something went wrong. Something went wrong in the cooking process.
Don't eat it.
And also, yeah. I don't know anything about Ingle. Obviously, us Americans get sold very easily when I think like any kind of like UK person speaks. Like, we think they're smarter than they are, but like it seems like he gives pretty decent instructions. But is he known? Like, do you guys rate him as a pretty good trainer over there?
Well, he's got the legacy from his dad, who was a very good trainer. So it's he's still making his. I guess Brook was kind of his first fighter, right, Cam?
Yeah, the kind of one he took on his own and molded, yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah. Because Ingle, his dad had Nassim and John, and he had a good stable back in the day.
Yeah, and I think Kell's technique is really, really great to watch too. That's one thing I didn't comment on, but I love Kell because even though he doesn't like really do one thing incredibly well, like he can really do everything.
Oh, but that gym's always produced technically good fighters, hasn't it, Cam? I mean,
Yeah.
For an English gym,
like how many fighters nowadays can do what Kell does in terms of fight a little bit on his back foot, fight a little bit on the inside, clinch the way that he can clinch, has a nice jab, has a nice straight right, has a good left hook. Like he's just sound everywhere pretty much.
One thing the Ingles have always done well is they train their fighters to the attributes they have. Where like Gallagher just trains them all in one style. If someone's like good with both hands, they'll make him to switch hitters. If someone's a big puncher, they'll give him that type of style. Like they tailor their training to the attributes, which is really good, man.
Yeah, I think they let the fighter kind of develop their style themselves a bit, and then tweak it. Then, yeah.
That's the way it should be.
So Gallagher is like pretty much Trump, right?
But he does a lot. They've always done
Brandon
a lot of
Ingles,
stuff.
Bernie Sanders.
They've always done a lot of stuff with for a European gym, which is different on foot movement. Like they've got a kind of a old system of teaching people to be good on their feet, which isn't something that's trained that often over here. So it's always been an interesting gym. That.
Yeah. Man, I bet if Floyd Mayweather walked into Gallagher's gym, Gallagher would tell him to do a high guard.
Yeah, go to the body, Floyd.
Fuck the shoulder roll. That's bullshit.
Sugar Ray Leonard.
Shut up, Floyd.
Shut up, Floyd.
Don't. You're throwing too many punches, Ray. You're throwing too many punches.
I said nothing until after 5.
Shit.
Take your time.
Friday in Chicago. Mike Alvarado is back. Who can't wait to see him. Michael Collins' second professional fight. I don't know much to say. I don't know anything about his opponent, but there's a dude that I saw on his undercard of his professional fight. I think that first professional fight that Lim attended. I think at MSG. Alex Saucedo. He was quite good. I was impressed with him. I think he was trained by Errol Sanchez, and that's the only two names I recognize.
Cam, I got a question for you though. Like, how did Mike train for this fight in rehab? Do they have like a boxing gym at the rehab center?
She didn't go. She said no.
I see.
Oh,
that was a terrible joke, and you came up with something a lot better. So, is the fight at 147?
It says welterweight, but it's not exactly listed. So maybe he'll come a bit fatter, and they might adjust it.
His opponent normally fights in the low 150s. So
what?
He's only 154. What if we're not talking about Broner? If we say we're not going to talk about Broner, what the hell are we doing? Talking about?
Well, he's actually fighting this weekend, whereas Broner's like fighting.
No, but he's
I just want to see Mike Alvarado shadow boxing routine. That's all.
Drunken style.
But for what it's worth, I mean, his opponent got stopped in his last fight against Ramon Alvarez, who is like primarily well known for getting annihilated by Omar Chavez in 2 rounds a few weeks ago. So I guess a fairly solid comeback for a mile high, Mike.
Yeah, I know King Jay's gonna be at the fight. So if any of you guys want a free beer, King Jay told me that he'll buy drinks for you guys. So
that's it, man. It's coalition meetup. Meetup for King
Jay. I've not really got anything to say about Conlon because it's his second fight. I don't know his opponent. So should we move on?
Yeah.
What else we got? Leon on Friday in the UK. Spike TV have got the undercard, and then it goes over to Channel 5 for the main card. Selby versus Rosales and Craig Kennedy versus Matty Askins for the British Cruiserweight title.
I mean, that could be a half-decent little fight, but, I mean, I don't know much about Selby's opponent again, but, it's just I'll watch it, but I don't have much to say.
I'm just saying, but, don't you think since Channel 5 have got this partnership with Cyclone, I apart from maybe the Josh Taylor fights, like the rest of them haven't been that good. The cards, I thought.
Their stable's not big enough.
Yeah, they need to expand a bit, don't they?
Yeah. But they don't have, you don't want to risk money as well, so they're in a catch-22 kind of thing,
Yeah. And Naota, on Saturday, our favourite Uber driver's back.
Yeah, Orlando Salido with his grand return. He's fighting against a fighter from Thailand, Ampon Suryo. And, this is just a stay busy fight. Suryo lost to Billy Dibb and Brandon Ogilvy, so Salido should have a fairly easy time with him. And, the word on the block is as long as Salido wins this fight, him versus Lomachenko may be happening in the rematch. So, so this is basically a stay busy for Salido. He should win it with ease. Finally, I'm not even sure if he's ever even fought in his hometown. See that Obregon. But that's where this fight is taking place. He's having a nice little bit of a homecoming there. And other than that, the card isn't necessarily much to speak of. But, these Azteca/BN Sports cards are usually pretty solid value for your time. Usually some pretty good fights on it. There's going to be a female light flyweight fight on the undercard where maybe Marlon Esparza might fight with a winner eventually or something. So that might be of interest to some people. But, Salido should be able to handle his business. And that's pretty much all I really got to say about it.
Yeah, I just checked. He's fought there quite a few times. Jose...
If I was Salido, I wouldn't even fight. I'd rather just drive that night. Saturday, search nights, he'd probably make more money with that 1.4 times fare. He might make more money on driving rather than fighting, so fuck that.
Last couple of months we were mentioning this Argumento versus Mendoza fight, and it just never happened, and it's supposed to be happening on Friday. Do you think it'll just be another one that's going to get pushed back till 2 months later?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe this is like a way for for Canelo Promotions to launder money or some shit, because I don't know how the hell they keep rescheduling this fight with Argumento and Mendoza. This fight is probably going to happen by fucking September or some shit. So, I'm pretty much done talking about it. Argumento should win the fight whenever it happens.
Yep. And I'm pretty much done as well. You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
I wanted to mention down in Panama, a couple of good fights. Anselmo Moreno versus Julio Ceja, WBC Super Bantamweight Eliminator. Moreno's still a very high-level fighter, even though he got knocked out by Shinsuke Yamanaka his last fight. Yamanaka is the best bantamweight in the world. And Julio Ceja himself was a former champion. He won the first fight against Hugo Ruiz, lost the second one because he got injured. He twisted his ankle when Ruiz dropped him in the first round. He couldn't really stand on it. So I think this is a solid fight. The winner basically becomes the mandatory for Rey Vargas. And, I think the winner would definitely deserve a shot at him, being that both of them are well tested and proven. And I think it's a really interesting fight. Julio Ceja is a big puncher, and Sal Moreno is a slick boxer. And I think it's a pretty interesting clash of styles. And then along with that fight is a fight, I'm not sure if this is going to be a light flyweight or flyweight, but Saul Juarez, former title contender and pretty good contender, Leroy Estrada. Estrada from Panama, Juarez from Mexico. Down in Panama would be interesting. Juarez is another fighter from the Chiritos Hernandez or Carlos Cuadras style of stick and move, kind of Roy Jones copycat boxing. And Estrada's a bit more of a boxer puncher, but pretty interesting fight between those two. I think it might be a bit of a underrated, under the radar fight. And if I manage to get some footage, I'll definitely shoot it out to anybody and everybody interested.
Leon, Dan, anything else?
No, man.
Nope.
All right. Thank you to you guys for being on the show today. Also, Chemo that popped on. All the people in the chat and all the people that download the show week in, week out. We'll be back next week. Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
I did. Man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the #1 flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically burn you, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the show, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos a Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kell, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
Feels great. Feels great.
Do we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass.
Just to play devil's advocate.
You want one portion of crow or two portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish.
Cringe side?
But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you?
He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weigh for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition. We are live every Monday, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. UK time, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.